Please take the roll.
Commissioner Brassad.
Here.
Commissioner Reinert.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Commissioner Look.
Here.
Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
Commissioner Jepson.
Here.
Commissioner Meisner.
Here.
Okay, all present and accounted for. We'll move on to item 4, which is tax claims and abatements. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brassad,
Second.
second by Commissioner Jepson. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. We'll move on to item 5, which is consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 and purchase card claims paid for the period ending December 1st, 2023. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Moved by Commissioner Schulte,
Second.
second by Commissioner Jepson. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte. Aye. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye. And that passes unanimously. We'll move on to item 6, which is the approval of minutes from the November 30th, 2023 and December 1st, 2023 county board meetings. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Jepson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Brassad. Any changes, additions, subtractions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Those meeting minutes are adopted. Item 7 under Chair's remarks, we have 3 items. The first is consider for the first is in recognition of the Finance and Central Services Division for receiving the Cash Vest 90+ Award, which signifies excellence in the implementation and management of all liquidity in public and higher ed marketplace. To qualify for this award, an entity must have received a Cash Vest score of 90 or above for 4 consecutive quarters and keep a Cash Vest score above 90 to remain in the 90s plus club. The award aligns well with the goals in the mission statement of Anoka County, which includes being fiscally responsible. Anoka County is the only Minnesota county to receive this recognition this year, and I will turn it over to Corey Kemp, our Chief Financial Officer, to tell us more about the award. Corey.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, County Boards, my name is Corey Kemp. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Anoka County, and we are very privileged to get this award. I know this is very exciting for us. We did start working with 3+1 just this last year, so we've been with them for 4 quarters. But this is a kind of a testament to our program, our investment program, and kind of how we operate. And I really want to recognize. I want my team, if they could stand up, please. Dave Kent is our investment specialist. He works diligently with our brokers, making sure our cash is invested as much as possible, earning a market return, making sure we're getting what we need. But in order to do that, he needs Karen and Chris, who are working in Treasury, and they work behind the scenes doing the cash flow management, showing us how much money do we have to invest, helping Dave have the information so we can make those good decisions. So it takes a team effort. I can't do that without them. This has been a great, I think we have a great program, and we are 100% using our money on a daily basis. We also work with our banks to try to increase our returns there and optimally gain whatever we can for the county. So I really am, I guess I'm proud of these guys, and I'm proud that we are able to do this, and we're going to continue to work to improve every which way we can.
Thank you, Corey. I don't know if the CEO, Joe Rulison, knew that we were going to be doing a presentation here this morning, but he sent me an email. And he says in an environment where short-term rates have been holding steady above 5%, the biggest difference maker to closing your budget gap could very well be how long your funds can remain invested and earning additional value for your bottom line. We often talk about, in government, we don't really make money. The money we need, we tax for, we levy for. And but this is one way that we can make money, is by making those smart decisions, holding that cash, investing it wisely. Thank you, team, for your hard work. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to budget time, we have this money now that we can plug that gap with. We can find, as opposed to raising taxes, we can use those dollars to help offset that. And we did that this year. I think we've done that just about every single year, except maybe the years where we were getting 0.25% interest or whatever those number was. It's rough for everyone out there. But it is a good market out there in terms of interest rates, and very, very excited to hear that you guys are, first of all, congratulations on the award and being recognized for this, but then also that you're managing that properly so that we know that it's being taken care of appropriately. So, any further comments? Again, congratulations, team. Yes. Okay, our second item this morning is recognition of the Parks Department for receiving an Association of Minnesota Counties Achievement Award. I'll turn the floor over to Commissioner Gamache, Chair of the Parks Committee, to give us some background and tell us more.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, the Association of Minnesota Counties recently awarded the Parks Department for developing the augmented reality, otherwise known as AR, trail app. The app called Tracks is an augmented reality trail program at Bunker Hills Regional Park and is one of the first, if not the first, AR trail initiatives in Minnesota. The app caters to diverse populations with translation services and is helping pave the way for a new era of park experiences. There have been more than 500 downloads of the app so far. And I am honored today to introduce Jeff Perry, our Parks Director, and Nicole Greenwell, Parks Communications Supervisor, to tell us a little bit more about the app and the award they received. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Jeff Perry, Park Director for Anoka County. First, I'd like to just take the opportunity to thank the county board for your leadership, support, and recognition of Anoka County's premier park system. Your policy guidance always allows our parks team to pursue excellence through providing contemporary and innovative facilities, services, and programs for public enjoyment to over 6 million visitors per year. Speaking of contemporary leadership, I have the pleasure to introduce you to a highly valued member of our parks team, Ms. Nicole Greenwell. She was a professional behind the scenes who created this augmented reality trail program. And as Commissioner Gamache had indicated, it's one of a kind in the state of Minnesota, so it's definitely on the cutting edge. So without further ado, I'll turn it over briefly to Ms. Greenwell to tell us a little bit more about the program.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Perry, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board for your recognition this morning. This trail program allows guests to experience park wildlife, history, and habitats that come to life right before your eyes. The immersive use of the technology allows for unique app interactions and a new creative way for park users of all ages to experience the outdoors. I'm grateful for the support from the board for allowing us to bring innovative services like this to our guests, and for AMC for their recognition of our efforts and hard work. Thank you.
And thank you again, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We always appreciate the recognition from the county board. And thanks to Nikki. She separated Anoka County among the 86 other counties out there with this award. So we're very proud of you and thank you. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, just a quick question, if we can go back to that last photo there. That was dropped in there, was it not? I mean, there's not staring down a buffalo.
Right. Yes, that is how lifelike the 3D images are. So that's one of the cool things about the app is you can have those interactions with them, but obviously it's not real.
Right.
But it looks like you're
Just wanted to
standing
make that
in
clear for the folks
with
at
a
home.
bison. Yeah, yes.
Probably can't get that close to a buffalo, or shouldn't.
No, please don't do that in real life.
Well, I want to thank you for being here, and certainly congratulations on the award. We're always excited for the amazing work that you folks do in the Parks Department, and that translates to our residents and our community. And it's an honor certainly to be recognized, our county to be recognized for the good work that you've done to bring that recognition here. So again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner
just to let the people of Coon Rapids and Andover know, and Blaine, because that's on the east side of Bunker Hills, there's no buffalo in Bunker Hills. So just, don't want you to get nervous that they're running around on the grounds, but they're not there. Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Our third and final item for today is recognition of Pam LeBlanc, Anoka County's Chief Officer for Property Records and Taxation, for receiving an AMC Outstanding Service Award. I'll turn the floor to Commissioner Schulte, Chair of the Property Records and Taxation. Commissioner Schulte.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to throw out a number that might stagger most of you. For 42 years, Anoka County has had the privilege of having Pam LeBlanc as a loyal and dedicated staff member. Over the decades, Pam has worked collaboratively with other departments, community partners, counties, and professional organizations. She has fostered a cohesive team atmosphere in her department and finds ways to develop leaders in her division. Over the course of her career, she has seen many changes and faces each challenge with a smile and positive attitude. The historical knowledge she has is invaluable, and we are honored to have her here today to recognize her for more than 4 decades of hard work and dedication. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Pam LeBlanc. I am the Chief Officer of Property Records and Taxation. And yes, 42 years. The joke is that I started on the kindergarten work program, but honestly, back then, before I knew what I wanted to do when I grew up, it was a job. I enjoyed coming to work every day. For 42 years, it went by fast, very fast. And before you know it, it became a career. I look forward to coming to work every day. I'm very grateful and humbled to be receiving this award. I want to thank the county board for their leadership and support through all the years, as well as the county administrator, Rhonda Sivaraja. But really, I couldn't be standing up here if it wasn't for my amazing team. They help every day make me successful and our department. We deal with angry taxpayers, we deal with elections issues, assessment issues, vital records every day. It's gone by very fast. I'm honored to be standing up here, and it's been a pleasure to work for Anoka County. Thank you very much.
Well, Pam, we're confident that we've got another 20 years out of you. I can't think of anyone more deserving of an AMC's Outstanding Service Award. You truly exemplify what AMC looks for in county service. And as a member of the Anoka County Board, I am truly thankful for what you have done. And as a member in good standing with AMC, I am truly proud of the work you've done for Anoka County. So thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Pam, do you have more years than Jerry Soma? I'm trying to figure that out. I couldn't
Not yet, but it could happen.
Wow. Well,
It could happen,
the
but
two
yeah.
of you stand out there as just amazing dedication to the county and the number of years that you've spent here. And we're thankful for you. We're thankful for that dedication. And I know there's many constituents out there that have worked with you over the years, and they appreciate the way you handle, I think, sometimes stressful situations. Like you say, they may not call always happy, but I think that in the end, your department does such a fantastic job of kind of explaining things calmly and settling down a little bit. And at least that's the report I get back. So that's above and beyond the call of duty, certainly, and we appreciate all the hard work you've done over the years. So congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And, I normally cry on Folgers commercials, so it's amazing that I can stand up here and keep it all together, but it truly is my team that helps make me successful, so I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our chair's remarks for today. We will move on to the committee reports. And the first is the Management Committee. You will see the Management Committee there is for informational purposes only. So that's for your ability to read through that at your leisure. But then we also have an additional Management Committee County Board agenda. We'll move right into that since that's dealing with Management Committee related topics. The first is consider approving the following personnel transactions. There's a new position for the Sheriff's Office, a Victim Advocate Specialist. This position was formerly filled by Alexandra House an embedded person that did outstanding work there. There is a grant for the year 2024 to hire a person, and bring them on full-time. And then at that point, it only lasts for generally a year, and then 2025, during budget time, there'll be discussion as to how that person will fit into a full-time FTE position with the county. As was explained, it's a very valuable position that helps our law enforcement navigate through some very difficult situations. So,
Like to move that, Mr. Chair?
okay, that was moved by Commissioner Schulte. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, roll call vote. Aye.
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 Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
And that passes unanimously. Item B is approving the elimination of unfunded positions. You'll see those positions listed there, and there's various different jobs that were associated with those positions, but this is largely because they were unfunded, this is a housekeeping item. Is there a motion to approve eliminating those positions?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Kamash, second by Commissioner Brassad. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Item C is approving a proposed update to the Anoka County Personnel Rules and Regulations effective January 1st, 2024. You'll see those rules and regulations attached here, the majority of which have to do with the changes at the state level with this last legislative cycle, and a lot of it having to do with extended safe and sick time, a new form of paid leave, which is added and accrued. And we are following state rules and guidelines on this. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Jepson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are adopted. And we'll move on to item 2, which is consider renewing contract C0010543, the cyber liability insurance for a policy term of January 1st, 2024 to January 1st, 2025, from Crum and Forster and Coalition Incorporated through Arthur Gallagher, and as recommended by the Commissioner of Insurance. The responsible, I apologize, the responsible Commissioner for Insurance. It's moved by Commissioner Schulte. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brassad. Discussion on this one. Cybersecurity is a very important component to our IT department, as we learned yesterday, and it's becoming more important, and this would be insurance related to that. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte, Commissioner Look.
Aye. And that passes unanimously. And the third and final item under the additional agenda is consider authorizing the county attorney's office and risk management to settle a claim number 22-250 as discussed by risk management and the county attorney's office. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. A roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. And that concludes the additional county board agenda. We will move on to the Transportation Committee and Commissioner Brassad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our committee met on Wednesday, December 13th. We have 2 action items this morning. The first is that the committee recommends award of contract C0010525 in the amount of $1,222,137 to Wells Concrete Products Company for the Coon Lake Shop Replacement Project in the city of Columbus. And we've got Joe to tell us what this is going to look like and timing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Joe McPherson. I'm the Chief Officer of Transportation and County Engineer. So I'm very excited to announce that we're at that point where we're starting to release some of these packages for bidding. This is our Coon Lake shop, and the shop is actually shared by Parks and Highway as it sits today. The new shop will have capacity for future deputies to be stationed out of there as needed. So we're really looking towards the future with this facility. You know, it was interesting as we've gone through this process, a number of people have wanted a side-by-side image of what the current one looks like and what this one looks like. I said, well, just essentially look at a piece of Swiss cheese. That's what we have today, and this is what we're gonna have tomorrow. So appreciate the board's support on this. This is a project that's been in the works for a long time. It's gonna replace an aging facility that's ready to be retired. And so this facility will have capacity for up to 6 plow trucks in that area. Currently, we house 3 plow trucks for that area of the county, but as we know, Anoka County is fastly growing, and with that, we want to make sure we have capacity well into the future. So this first bid package here before you today is to get the order going for the tip-up concrete precast panels to make sure they're here in time for construction in 2024.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval of contract number C0010-525.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Reinert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion on this one. Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Moving on to item 2.
The committee recommends approval to enter into the 2024-2025 Section 5310 Transit Coordination Assistance Project, known as TCAP, 2-year agreement with MnDOT to implement transportation services for enhanced mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities. Joe?
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Chair, members of the board. So this is a 2-year agreement that we've received for a number of years now. We went after it again this past July, and with that, we were successful at securing this grant. It covers 80% of the cost for the folks that are tied to this. This program also helps support our Metro Mobility, which we just had our recent luncheon about a month and a half ago, well received. That provides a very necessary service for a lot of our residents that can't get themselves to their appointments and places of interest. So again, this is a grant that is a 2-year grant. We'll support that department and look forward to seeing what the next couple of years hold here.
Joe, what is the time window between, you make an appointment, what's the time window between when they can arrive?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, so there's a couple different services that we provide. So Metro Mobility, or you've heard of Transit Link before, those types of things. What you typically want to do is if you're going to ask for a service like that, you'd want to call ahead. In many cases, it's up to a week ahead. You should call in and register for that ride. Now, you want to make sure that if you're going to schedule a ride, if you need to leave your house by no later than 7:15, you really want to give them a window, depending on where you're at in the county. So you want to give them a half-hour to 45-minute window before your ride. So if you're going to call in for 7:15, you'd probably want to call and make that ride for 6:30 or 6:45 to ensure that your ride is there at the time you need it by. So you may leave earlier, but it never hurts to be early to a meeting, so, or your destination.
And I don't know if you can answer this, but do you know if they can drive up a driveway, or do they have to pick you up on the street?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, I think it depends on the situation, whether the driver feels comfortable making it up the driveway. I think in a lot of cases they try to do that, but it all depends on what the situation is.
I bring this up as a kind of a sidebar to this conversation. I'm fully supportive of the work that's done here. But sometimes, being in Minnesota, we have difficulty in people with wheelchairs getting down the driveway to sit there potentially for a half hour for the ride to arrive. And especially if it's, inclement weather or 30 below or whatever the case may be, that can be pretty difficult. So one of the suggestions that I've heard out there for these type of programs is no different than what you experience when you Uber or Lyft. You basically schedule a ride, and then there's updates as far as where that ride is at or when it's anticipated to come to your location, so you can plan more appropriately for that. This technology obviously exists out there as Uber and Lyft are using it, and so far there's the speed of government as it is somewhat not necessarily a competitive thing as it is in the private sector, but if you could pass that along to the administrators of these programs, it is absolutely imperative to have kind of an up-to-date notifications. Some of these, I I know a 99-year-old woman that uses a cell phone. So it is possible for people to, that haven't used these before to use them. I think they're pretty intuitive. But certainly when they recognize the benefit of those type of updates at their fingertips, I think it'll be something that can certainly enhance and improve these services. So anyways, any further comments on this? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, if I could just keep Joe here for a second. You might have seen that it seems like we've had a lot more actions on our Transportation Committee agendas. Well, that's because Joe just filled me in last week or so and said there was a record number of actions in the Transportation Department this year. So our people over in Transportation and Highway are working their buns off, and they do a great job. So just wanted to call them out that what they do there is reflective in our long agendas. But they're really working on a lot of projects, seeing that things run smoothly and seamlessly, and they really do a great job. So Joe, please thank your whole staff for us.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Commissioner.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brassad, and thank you, Joe, for your updates on that. We will move on to the Finance Committee, which met on December 12th. There were no public comments, and we had a couple of action items. The first is the committee recommends the county board approve contract C0010533 with VCI Environmental out of Lino Lakes as the lowest responsible bidder for the Rum River Campus Tunnel System Power Plant Old Coal Bin and Maintenance / Carpenter Shop Hazardous Materials Abatement, and amount not to exceed $558,250. As folks know, we are in the process of removing some of these facilities that are out there, facilities that maybe were put in turn of the century. But at any rate, they do have hazardous materials in them, and we need to process those appropriately. So this is a project to remove those materials and handle them appropriately. And there's also, I should say, a contingency of $100,000 if anything else is found that isn't already identified. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Discussion on this one. The funding source on this, I believe, is the Asset Preservation Fund, and I'm getting a nod on that. And again, that's a fund that we have cash set aside from prior budgets, and we can afford to do these type of projects without having a bond for them. Without any further discussion, roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 2, the committee recommends the county board adopt resolution 2023-F7 declaring the official intent of Anoka County to reimburse certain expenditures from the proceeds of tax-exempt bonds to be issued by the county. This is just a document that allows us to, at some point in the future, if we need to bond for projects that we're looking at, that we can reimburse ourselves for it. Is there a motion to approve this, or offer the resolution, rather?
I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution's been offered by Commissioner Schulte. Any discussion on item 2? Yes, Commissioner Jepson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I will be opposing this offer of the resolution. I understand that it is a mechanism that can be used in the event, but I also don't believe that I am prepared to move forward 2 weeks after we've passed the budget. I would like an opportunity to look at the asset preservation schedule, where all the money is coming from, where investments are. I think bonding at this point is very premature, and to use it as an option, I think is, in my opinion, a little bit reckless at this point, because in doing some research about intent to bond regulations, and I'm quoting here, the entity adopting it has a reasonable expectation that it will reimburse itself for such expenditures with proceeds of the borrowing. That is to say that a borrower cannot, as a matter of course, make blanket declarations of intent to reimburse itself for expenditures in order to preserve flexibility, but without any actual intent to make such reimbursement. I feel that if we are going to do an intent to bond, that we are committing to bonding. Therefore, I will be opposing this because I think at this time, I don't want to have bonding on the table until we know exactly what's going on with the asset preservation account.
Commissioner Jepson, just for clarification, this is not an intent to bond, it's an intent to reimburse in the event of bonding. So we do not know if we'll need to bond. We do know that $7 million that was taken out of asset preservation to reduce the levy from 15.44 to 10.4, that $7 million was going to be the $7 million we were going to use for the decentralization of the Rum River Campus project. There are other dollars in there, and they are programmed out on other projects. So until we have that discussion of either A, we're going to cut those projects, or B, we have to fund those projects. The only way you're going to fund those projects is through bonding, right? Because there's only a certain amount of money in there and it was programmed out to 2025. This is a necessary document for the intent to reimburse us from those bonds if we make expenditures prior to the issuance of those bonds. So this is a housekeeping item. It doesn't commit anyone to bonding, and that is not a correct statement. Commissioner Jepson.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for making some clarifications on there. I still think those conversations have to happen prior to what is being said as a housekeeping item. I think these conversations, $5.5 million, $7 million, I think those conversations need to be had, are important enough than to so quickly pass a housekeeping item. I don't think it's.
You do realize, though, that this is coming back before the board for any sort of bonding.
That's fine, that's
when
fine.
those discussions will be had.
Yep, that's great. Then we'll have those discussions about what we're going to bond for, why we're going to bond, and have everybody be part of that conversation.
Commissioner Schulte.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just do want to make it very clear to everybody that, that the motion that I made is that this is an intent to reimburse if there's a bond. That's what it is. This isn't an intent to bond. This is an intent to reimburse if we would go to bond.
Okay, any further discussion? Commissioner Reiner.
Yeah, I'll also be opposing this. There needs to be more discussion before we, commit to this.
Okay, Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So and thank you for the clarification because I did ask Corey a couple of questions, and my interpretation was that it was a flexibility mechanism in case we needed to bond. So this is a little bit of a nuance of what you guys are saying, so I appreciate that. But now my question is, this seems like this is putting the cart before the horse. So we haven't bonded, and you're saying that this is allowing us to reimburse if we bond. And so I guess my point at this point, and thank you, I know you're gonna clarify that, I am in support, I'm always in support of maybe we need to go and talk about this in the general big picture, and I'm fine with that. We can pause this for, January, but that's not necessarily saying I'm imposing this forever. Go ahead, Corey.
Okay, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meisner, Commissioners, so just for everybody to kind of clarify, as kind of Chair Luke has said, as Commissioner Schulte has said, this is an intent to reimburse. We are entering into a contract to do an abatement out at the Rum River campus. That will be followed by a demolition contract, which will come later. If we do not allow ourselves to be reimbursed, there's a 60-day look back under IRS and US Treasury rules. So we would not be able to capture these into a bond if we waited 6 months or too long. This just gives you that flexibility. It doesn't mean you may still use asset preservation. It is programmed in the budget in asset preservation. You may look at it in May, June and say, we want to wait, we don't want to do that. You actually have 2 or more years to even bond for this. So you don't even have to do this now. You could say, look at it in December or into 25 and say, we would like to reimburse ourselves. So it just offers that flexibility, which you will lose if you wait to have further conversations, because if the money is expended and you pass that 60-day window, you cannot reimburse yourself.
Follow up, Commissioner?
Yeah, no, thank you. Okay, so the 60-day window then. So, but I mean, we can figure this out before 60 days. So I agree with you. If there's a timeline in terms of making sure that we have this tool in our toolbox, that I fully, I'm hearing you, but that's 60 days. So we could essentially figure this out in early January and it's still not going to be a problem. That's what I'm hearing. Because we haven't actually bonded. This is about reimbursement. So again, for me, the cart coming before the horse. So if we haven't even bonded yet, we're not even having those conversations per se, we still have plenty of time for that 60-day window.
Commissioner Meisner, this is what has always been done in the past. Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Corey, when would the latest date be that we pass this resolution? Do we have the opportunity to, at our January workshop, maybe educate people more about the process? Do we have that window of opportunity, say for 30 more days before we pass this resolution? It's clear that some education needs to be done.
Mr. Chair, and members of the board, you could try to educate right now. My guess is we would not be able to do a lot of education until February or March, just because of my situation. So, but once Andrew starts spending, that 60-day clock starts. So once he begins the abatement process and starts doing that. So yes, we could come back. Again, we passed a contract. Once that spend begins, it's a look back of 60 days to expenditures that occurred or future expenditures into the future. And it allows the board to be able to bond. It doesn't say the board needs to bond. It allows the board to reimburse itself through the mechanism of bonding. But it doesn't mean the board will ever issue a bond. It may say, nah, we're not going to do that. And that has happened many times here. Or the bond has said up to 5.5 million, and they said, you know, we're only going to do $1 million or $2 million. I mean, this is something that's happened many, many times in organizations across the state. I mean, this county has done it. It's just a common practice that allows that flexibility. It doesn't lock you in. There's going to be multiple further discussion. We are looking at a bond for the 911 center. So we'll have this discussion probably in that March, April timeframe and talk about, do we want a bond and how much and what are we looking for related to 911? And we could bring in and say, do we want to do anything for this or do we want to hold off? And you could even say, I don't know if I agree right now. I'll wait till the end of the year or into next year, and then we can revisit that as we see how the budget comes out. But by having this in place, it allows us to capture the costs for that project at some point in the future if we desire. It doesn't mean we have to. It's a very simple process.
Follow up, Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it seems like it makes most sense to pass this now, but it's clear that some of us do want to look at the capital improvement projects that are scheduled, that perhaps we can maybe rearrange some of those and move things around so bonding isn't necessary. I would hate to have the work start out at Rum River campus and then we're not eligible to have those items reimbursed. That would be cutting ourselves off. So I do support this, but I do, just like when the budget passed, I think in our asset preservation layout, we have some flexibility on things that we really need to look at.
Commissioner Schulte.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the only thing I'm really confused about is this comes recommended by the committee. The committee's made up of 4 people, and I believe it came on a 3-to-1 recommendation from our subject matter experts at the committee, which is the way our county's set up, is the committees are set up so that the work is done at the committee level. And it comes to the board as a recommendation from those people that do all that hard work at the committee. And so it comes as a recommendation, and yet here it doesn't sound like it's being recommended when it gets here. So I'm a little confused by that. I don't understand. But I mean, the motion's on the floor, and I believe it was seconded that we go ahead and do this, and I think we should.
There was an offer of the resolution. Commissioner Reiner.
Sorry, you're right. Resolution's off.
Yeah, I serve on that committee, and I was the no vote.
And I knew that.
Okay. Commissioner Jepson?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Schulte, for mentioning that. Yes, I was one of the yes votes, as you remember as well. And I think I did vote for it so that we could have this robust conversation with all of us, because I think these conversations about the policy of bonding, even if this isn't approving or denying bonding, I think those conversations have to be had by all of us. I mean, these are huge dollar amounts. We just passed the budget and the levy, and I think to respect all of us, I wanted it to get here today so that our voices could be heard, and they have been. I still think it's premature. I think we have far more conversations to have regarding the budget and how we're going to allocate dollars and how we're going to allocate asset preservation and possibly move things around. So I'm still voting no for this, but I understand why others would feel compelled to approve it.
I will remind board members that in this discussion of allocation, to get on the asset preservation spin down plan or whatever the case is, we had these robust discussions. Because they don't just automatically get on there. We've talked about it in budgets, we've talked about it in finance, we've talked about it endlessly. So this notion that all of us weren't part of this is completely erroneous. So vote against it if you want to. If Andrew goes out and spends $1 that we can't reimburse, it'll be on you, bottom line. I mean, it's just really gets that easy. So it's not something to throw an anchor out on. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one question that kind of came up, and Corey mentioned it with, I believe, another discussion about another bonding thing. And I'm just kind of curious of the timing of this, is that we're now worried about spending that Andrew's going to be doing, and had not heard that we were going to have this type of thing come before us in this meeting until it came before us in the Finance Committee. I wasn't in the Finance Committee, but I would have had a question there as well. But anyways, so if Andrew knows the spending plans into the next few months, I kind of agree with Commissioner Brasted that we could have a discussion about this in January to kind of clarify some of these things before that. And if he is not having any major spending going on, that would give us a little time to answer some of the questions that some of the commissioners have. But I'm not exactly sure where we're going with the plans regarding that. So I don't know if Andrew wants to update us at all on that regard, but that would probably solve some of the issues that we're having here if that's a real concern of everybody.
Andrew?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Commissioner Gamache. So as you're all aware, we have completed phase 1 of the overall decentralization project. So each of the cottages now has their own small scalable boiler, central plant to shut down. All the mechanical's been completed, all the electrical's been completed. A couple of the minor punch list items are still in the process. And then as we all agreed, phase 2 was this abatement process. And so what we don't want to have happen is where something could potentially implode, and now you've got a mixture of hazardous materials along with concrete and all the rest from an overall debris standpoint. That triples your cost in terms of cleaning all of that up. And then once phase 2, the abatement is complete, then it's on to the demolition process. So as you're all aware, we are currently writing up specs, and we'll be going out to bid for the demolition piece first part of January. So again, all things that we've talked about. I've brought through PowerPoint presentations on these things, and we've taken the steps coming out of all of that dialogue over the last year and a half.
Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a little concerned with some of the words that are being thrown out, that it implies that we perhaps bond willy-nilly without any discussion. I would just like to remind the public that when Commissioner Schulte and I got on the county board, the outstanding debt was approximately 200 million. I was going to say 170 million, and that was low. And now we're down to 42 million. We have made a concentrated, very aggressive, intentional process to not only pay down our debt, our outstanding debt over the last 11 years, but we have not bonded during that time. Now we know we have a couple things coming forward that we're not going to be able to pay cash for. So to pass this and vote no against it in the under the disguise that we haven't talked about this, we have talked about all these projects till we are literally blue in the face. This is, if and when we bond, allowing the county to reimburse itself for its costs. So just don't want people to get a little bit sideways in the language.
And Corey, just to clarify, if we don't have this document in place and we bond, essentially, we will not have, well, either have to bond for less because the project scope would be less, not including these already expended costs.
Right.
Or you'll have leftover money from the bond
Well,
that you can't use to reimburse yourself for costs that you just spent on.
Mr. Chair, you wouldn't bond. You wouldn't be able to bond at all. You wouldn't even issue the bond because you can't pay for that if it's already past that 60-day window. Going forward, you can decide, down the road to or not to.
So it might be reckless not to pass this. I got a Commissioner Meisner and then Commissioner Jepson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, so clarifying question, we passed this, we still have to bring it back to the full board to bond, okay. Then I just have a couple of comments. I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Schulte. I do disagree in the rigidity of it. We do have a committee-strong model, which is fine. But the idea that we cannot discuss, the 7 of us, this is where we pass and pass our policies. So I disagree with you on that point in terms of just because something happened in a committee, that doesn't mean we can't talk about it as a board. And then I would just say, Commissioner Brasted, I hear also your points, but I would like us to allow some grace for Commissioner Jepson. She is very new. Lots of information, you're right, we talk about a lot of things, and it's a lot to retain. It's hard to remember. It's hard to put in context. Things are always, changing as time goes on. So those are my comments. But after this discussion, which I appreciate, I will be supporting this particular resolution. Thank you.
Commissioner Reinert.
Yeah, so, we've had extensive conversation about what to do. The board, I think, is unanimous in what needs to happen out on the campus. There's nobody here saying that the work that we have talked about shouldn't happen. All we're talking about is how to pay for it. So we've had extensive conversation about the work. We all agree that the work needs to be done. It's just how to pay for it. We've never talked about bonding for it. So that is a new topic. And so that's what we're talking about here today. The 60-day time clock that you're talking about when the work starts, well, Andrew just said that he's not even going to go out for bid until January. So as far as pushing the pause button on this, it's not reckless. It's anything but. To have more discussion on it and have everybody comfortable with it would be very intentional and thoughtful, not reckless.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Jepson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, yes, I absolutely agree. We've talked about this, we've given approvals, we've given direction for you to go ahead and do this project. We all know it's very, very important, but we also approved it, and it's still on the Asset Preservation Fund. It's still there. So that's what we've talked about. That's what we've agreed to. This whole conversation, this line item in the agenda, yes, pass through the finance, yes, discussing it now. That's new. That's what we haven't talked about yet. That's the philosophy, that's the policy moving forward after the budget approved. That's what we need to talk about, and that's what we have never, in my year of being here, talked about. And that's what I feel most comfortable doing.
not sure I follow. Very good. Commissioner Mash.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify with Corey, I've got the asset preservation projection as of December 2nd, 2023 in front of me. And in there, it does say that at the beginning of the year in 2024, we would have 25,801,081. And we have 5.5 million under the Rum River Decentralization Project scheduled, which matches the 5.5 million we're talking about in this document. And with the total projected expenditures for the year and all of the contingencies, and then we get to the total contingencies, by the end of the 2024, we will have $8.8 million still in the budget. So what we're saying is that perhaps because of when Andrew goes out for bids, it might be higher than $5.5 million. Probably not. Okay, so we have this in the budget currently as our asset preservation, and we have 8.8 million at the end of the year. I can understand having this document available to us. I don't see where it's going to be needed, and I don't remember, and maybe I just don't remember that we've done this in the past. But that's be my question, is that why now that we need this here today? And if we if I do decide to vote for it, I can tell you right now I'm not going to approve bonding for it because we have $5.5 million set aside. But you're going to say something, Corey, and I'd love to hear it.
Okay. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Gamache. Yes, understand your point. And if you look at that document, your projection brings the asset preservation into a negative 4.3 million by the end of the 5-year period.
Correct.
And, you know, part of that, again, this just opens up options of how you pay for it. It doesn't mean you're not going to pay for it out of asset preservation. It doesn't mean you're going to change anything. Because yes, you may end 24 with 8 million, but you also don't know what expenses are you facing that you don't know about in the future. So it does just allow for that flexibility. And the decision to bond doesn't have to be done in the spring. It could be done in 25. It could be done down the road. But if you don't have this in place and Andrew expends the money, you will never be able to get it back through bonding. This is your option. This just opens up options. It doesn't, to your point, you may say, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that at all. And we can have a much more robust bonding discussion. We are poised to have one in March because we did pass a resolution similar to this back in 21 related to the 911 center. Yep. And so we're going to have a decision about how much should we bond based on what equipment that we're spending on and how much we put to ARPA, how much we put to other things. And that's coming in March when we get everything put together as that building comes to a close.
Thank you.
Commissioner Reiner.
Yeah, as to the sense of urgency that's being portrayed here, I'll repeat, Andrew's not going to go out to even get bids until January. That's going to probably be at least a month's process. And then, they have to plan the work, and that's probably going to be another month or two. I mean, I don't see the work even starting until probably March, April, or beyond that. So the 60-day clock that you're talking about, I mean, there's just the schedule that we're looking at with this, there is no sense of urgency. And I'm a little confused at the hard debate that's happening here that we have to do it today. The truth is we don't.
I will remind board members that item number 1 was expending $558,000 on this same project. So in terms of the month, 2 months, going out for bonds, well, that's relative to that discussion. This is expenditures that we just authorized. So I think there's been enough discussion on this. There's been an offer of the resolution. We'll do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
No.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
No.
And that passes with 2 in opposition. Item 3 is the committee recommends the county board approve contract C0010531 with DataBank out of Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania, for the 1,400 on-base simplified subscription licenses. This is a 5-year contract with increases in those 5 years. You'll see that laid out there, but that's a reduction from, because of the 5-year, it's a lower increase than would have been if you had approved it year to year. This is, again, for the on-base system. Is there a motion to approve contract C0010531?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brassad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion? Are you sure? Oh, okay. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. And that concludes the finance report. We'll move on to the human services report and Commissioner Reinert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My committee met on, when did we meet? December 12th. And there was no public comment. We do have a couple items under consent. If we have questions on those, we'll hear those now. Otherwise, I will move the consent agenda.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Item 5.
Move to the regular agenda now, and we have one item under social services, and that is for the board to consider contract number C0010332. This is a renewal with FamilyWise for parent outreach program service at $85 an hour and a maximum of $115,000 for next year.
Is there a motion to approve the contract?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Jepson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 6.
Next, we'll move to community corrections, and we'll consider the board entering into contract number C0010512, and this is with the 10th Judicial District Court, Anoka County, for Anoka County Drug Treatment Court funding. This is for $186,786, and this is for August 1st through September 30th of 2027. It's a 3-year contract.
Is there a motion to approve the contract?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brassad.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion on item 6.
Mr. Chair, just a quick correction. It is October 1st, not August 1st?
October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2027. Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
The rest is informational. I'll return it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinert. We'll move on to the Informational Technology Committee report and Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Information Technology Committee met on December 12th. We have 2 action items before you today. The committee recommends the county board approve purchases from Dell Marketing for the repository and application server backup hardware in the amount of $265,357.83, and Insight Public Sector for the licensing and professional services for a backup system in the amount of $625,333.64, with a change order of $40,000 for the total not to exceed $930,691.47. This is to bring on, because of our current backup system is 20 years old and is no longer able to meet the demands of the data infrastructure that we currently have. Product support is inadequate, features are outdated, and this system is considered a security risk. Our existing backup our existing backup does not meet current BCA and cyber insurance requirements in regard to performance, features, and capabilities. So the solution is for a backup system that includes a core repository, servers, application of servers, a tape library, and all associated licensing. As we all had a good conversation in meetings yesterday, we understand the concerns and issues that we have with data, with old equipment that's finding its end time, and we need to address these as soon as possible. So this is the beginning of this start is to address this issue with the backup system, and we do have available to us our Chief Information Officer, and also Michael Winters is the manager, and he is the one that explained all the data to us in the meeting, so if anybody has any questions or has any issues, I'd make Michael available to answer any of those for you, but otherwise, I will move this along.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jepson, moved by Commissioner Gamache. Discussion on item 1. These are the 2 purchases with Dell Marketing and Insight Public Sector. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
Item number 2, Mr. Chair, is the Technology Committee recommends the county board approve a purchase from Insight Public Sector. This is a 5-year subscription. As we all know, everybody's got subscriptions nowadays. This is a 5-year subscription for a network monitoring system in the amount of $263,606.06 with a change order of $26,360. And that is not to exceed $289,966.06. As I mentioned, this is the tie-in again to the Insight Public Sector. The county network is a highly complex system with connections across most county locations serving all county employees. To maintain this intricate system and ensure compliance with state mandates, network staff must monitor active connections, review device configurations, and check logs daily. The manual staff activity is labor intensive and requires a considerable amount of time and effort. When staff are busy working on projects and day-to-day operations and activities, it can be difficult to follow through on necessary tasks to retain the environment. This multi-vendor network management and security software backup system will automate many of these tasks. Again, we heard this yesterday in our workshop that we had, or our discussion that we had about IT and IT security. So this is, the funding source, as you'll see, is ARPA funded, which is nice to have. And I will move this as well.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Schulte, moved by Commissioner Gamache. Discussion on item 2. Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte, Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
That passes unanimously.
And Mr. Chair, that concludes my report. Thank you, Michael and VJ, for being here this morning. And thank you for all the information in the committee meeting that we had that explained all of it. So I'll complete my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. We'll move on to the Intergovernmental and Community Relations Committee report, and Commissioner Reinert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My committee met on December 12th, and there was no public comment. We've got a couple action items before you today. The first one is the committee recommends the county board approve contract number C0010497 with Veterans Affairs, the VA, Minneapolis Healthcare for temporary hospital autopsy services at $2,500 per autopsy, plus additional cost associated with neuropathology, cardiac pathology, and other laboratory expenses. Basically, we have a situation where one of their staff is on restrictions and can't perform, and so this is a contract to kind of as a backup for them so that, you know, when other staff members are on vacation or something, then we'll step in and perform these autopsies. We've discussed this with Shane Sheets, our medical examiner director, and the price is right, and we've got the capacity to do this, these services.
Is there a motion to approve the contract?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brassad. Discussion on item 1. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 2.
Item number 2 is our committee recommends that the county board approve to amend and/or renew the following medical examiner contracts. And so you'll see before you there are, 5 different contracts. Basically, like I said, we do. Our medical examiner's office does business for half the state and part of Wisconsin. So these are just some of those contract renewals.
Okay, I guess we'll take these contracts independently. We'll start off with A, which is amend contract C009446 with Lake County, Minnesota. These are all the same terms from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2025. Actually, the terms will change.
Yeah, actually, they're between 1 and 4 year contracts.
Okay. So the first one is January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2025. Is there a motion to approve contract A?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Reiner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schulte. Discussion on A. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Passes unanimously. Item B is contract C 6801 with Cook County, Minnesota, with a term from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2027. Is there a motion to approve that
So
contract?
moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brassad.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion on B. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Look.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Item C is amend contract C 0008918A as an alpha and C 0008919A as an alpha with locum tenens forensic pathologist to include a hospital autopsy fee. Is there a motion to approve item C, those two contracts? By Commissioner Schulte, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brassad. Any discussion on C? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item D is renew contract C 004307B as in Bravo with Carlton County, Minnesota, with a term from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2026. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Jepson. Second by Commissioner Schulte. Discussion on D. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. And the final contract, our neighbors to the west, to renew contract C 0010517 with Sherburne County, Minnesota, with a term from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Brassad, second by Commissioner Schulte. Discussion on E. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
Next, we'll move to informational items. We're done with the action items. So we had some discussion on 2024 Anoka County Legislative Platform, our priorities. And so the commissioners weighed in, and we came up with several that are our priority actions that we'll be lobbying at the legislature this year. One is greenhouse gas and vehicle miles traveled. This is basically a new legislative problem for road construction, and so we're going to be lobbying against maybe getting that changed. Number two was Trunk Highway 65 to get some funding for some improvements between 81st Avenue and 93rd. Third was bonding for Rice Creek Chain of Lakes Trail, typically called the missing link. This has been a tough trail segment that, you know, is very expensive to do, and basically it's been going on for about 30 years. We're hoping to close that gap and get that trail finished. Medical examiners, death certificate signature requirement. So maybe some have heard us talk about the fact that when a vet dies, if they hadn't seen their clinician, I believe it's in 90 days or 60 days, the VA hasn't been signing the death certificate, causing a lot of problems for the family. And so what we're going to do is go at it with a new approach to resolve this issue, and we're going to ask the legislature if we can charge for that service, because if we have to charge, money talks. Hopefully they'll start signing death certificates. Next was Met Council reform. I think everybody understands that one. And then we did add one that we thought was important, and this is having to do with our license and passports stations around the county. Over the years, our revenues from these services that we provide have been shrinking, and so what we're doing is we're going to ask the legislature if we can raise the rates a little bit so that we can not lose money at that service anymore. Then we had an update from Dave Johnson, our lobbyist, and then also we had presentations from Colleen Hobner, our library director, and also John Lenars, our passport services director. And that completes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinert. We'll keep you hot on the mic here as we go to the Internal Audit Committee report.
All right, there were no action items. We met on 12/11 of this month, and so I just have a short statement to, I guess, close the loop on this. The Office of State Auditor conducted the entrance meeting for the county's annual audit for the year ended December 31st, 2023. The audit report will be completed by June of 2024. An audit of information technology was performed. This was limited audit of general controls. It focused on physical access to sites where IT infrastructure was located. It also considered physical security of those sites. Key internal controls were found to be in place and operating as management intended. Opportunities to strengthen similar internal controls at the other county IT sites were identified during this limited audit and were agreed to by management. No other key matters to report for you on this.
Okay, that concludes your internal audit report. We'll move on to the Parks Committee report, and Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Parks Committee met on December 7th at the Bunker Hills Activity Center. We have 4 action items before us. The committee recommends the county board to authorize Metropolitan Council funding agreement for $161,383.54 for hazardous tree removal and ash tree replacement throughout Anoka County Regional Parks and Trails System. Obviously, we've been doing this for a number of years now, and we will continue and hopefully continue to do this until we take care of some of the emerald ash borer issue. But it is funded through state funds, and this helps us do the cleanup as far as this is concerned, and I will move this.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gamache, second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion on item 1. Hopefully, we're not replacing them with ash, but. Okay, if there's no further discussion, roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner. Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
That passes with 1 absent. We will move on to item 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee recommends to the county board to adopt a resolution of support 2023 PRK 10 to assist Anoka County in preventing and reducing the spread of aquatic invasive species. This is the AIS program that we have been involved in now since the 2014 omnibus tax bill that was passed and signed by the governor that established this new county aid. We use this for educational purposes, and we use it also to be at the landings across the county to help inspect boats that come in and out. But mainly, a lot of it is used for some of the information given to people to educate them on what to do and how to clean their own boats and make sure that they're not transferring things from one to another. We also have some contracts with lake associations as well, so that they have some money to do some work and help keep the lakes in great shape. And Mr. Perry is here, and I know that maybe, Jeff, you want to give it a quick update as to how well this program is working and how well it's helping the lakes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Jeff Perry, Park Director for Anoka County. And this is the 9th year of the AIS program, and it truly has made a difference in keeping the lakes, rivers, and streams in Anoka County safe and clean for the residents of the county and beyond. As Commissioner Gamache had indicated, it truly does focus on education and outreach through schools, special events, public events, and various forms of content and literature that are distributed across the community. The Watercraft Inspectors Program put in over 6,000 inspections this year, and we are finding a noticeable decline in violations. It's primarily drain plug violations as well as the aquatic vegetation on the vehicles. So the drain plugs are less than 1% of all of those that were inspected, and the vegetation was a bit higher, but it has been declining also, just north of 2% of those inspections. And then lastly, The Small Grants Program, worked with Commissioner Brasted a number of years ago to focus on some of the lake associations, and that's been a very successful program. We've distributed funding to 8 local associations across the county for both education and prevention and some work done in the lake. So long story short, it's a very effective program, and Anoka County is prepared to keep it going as long as the funding's available.
Thank you, Jeff. And I'll move it.
Okay, the resolution's been offered by Commissioner Gamache. Any discussion on item 2? Yes, Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Just a quick question. I see her face, but I can't remember her name. Is it the same person that is doing the outreach portion of this?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meisner, yes, it's our AIS coordinator. Her name is Miss Jessica Leverty.
Yeah, thank you. But I remember you spoke highly of the work that she was doing. You mentioned in the schools and so forth. But anyway, very good. Thank you.
Okay, if there's not any further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That resolution is adopted. Item 3.
Item 3, Mr. Chair, the committee recommends to the county board to ratify an agreement with 3 local area snowmobile clubs for the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources and Snowmobile Grant and Aid Program. We are hoping that we see pictures like that, but it doesn't look like it's going to be before Christmas, so we still have to move this along. This is the grant that we receive and have been receiving for 36 years to help these snowmobile clubs with trails all across Anoka County. And we're just happy to be able to work with them. There's the Kiwi Crossing Club, the Rum River Trail Association, and the Rice Creek Trail Association, and thank you for the work that they do. If you've had an opportunity to be on their trails, they are in great shape most of the time if the snow cooperates. So we'll see if they're going to do that this year.
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Brasted. Discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Schulte.
Just a point of note that Pam LeBlanc had been working here 6 years by the time this was ratified the first time.
That's important information. Thank you. Commissioner Reinert.
Also, change on this, I don't know if you mentioned it, I didn't hear it. Usually these contracts are renewed every single year. And what we're doing this year is we're making it a 5-year term so that they don't have to chase us down for an approval every single year. So I think that's an improvement on it.
Excellent.
Thank you, Commissioner. I forgot to add that part in there. That is a good change. Thanks.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson?
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Brasted?
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 4, the committee recommended to the county board to authorize resolution of support 2023 PRK 11 for restrictive declarations to be placed on 2 project parcels that are using state GO bond funds for a portion of their costs. The 2 projects are, let's get the right page here. Here we go. The 2 projects are part of the requirements of the state bonding is the restrictive declarations are required to be recorded on the parcels. That restricts the sale of the parcel and restricts it for being used for anything other than the public land purposes. These are the standard restrictions that the county has recorded in the GeoBond finance projects. The 2 projects here we go. The Coon Rapids Dam Regional Park, Mississippi River Regional Trail Pedestrian Bridge Replacement, and the Bunker Hills Regional Park Pavilion Improvement. As many of you may have noticed, if you've been out to Bunker, we had to take down the pavilions due to some issues. And we are in the process of replacing those with metal structures that look just as nice as the wood ones did. That was a criteria we worked very hard on. And the other one is the Regional Trail Pedestrian Bridge in Coon Rapids. This is at the dam site, and you can see on the picture there of some of the issues that we were dealing with there with high waters up the Mississippi River, and over the years have worn down that area and had made the structure unreliable. So we had to take it down and unfortunately had to reroute the trail for everybody. So that will be worked on, and hopefully we will see it finished later on this year if everything goes well. But I thank the pedestrians and the people that use the park for working on our detours over the last year or so, because it was something that we had to put in place to make sure that no one fell into the creeks or tried to go around it. So we did redraw the trails a little bit, and I know that was a hassle for people, and I appreciate their patience with us. So, and
Is there an author of the resolution?
I'll offer it.
Resolution's been offered by Commissioner Gamache. Discussion on item 4. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
And, Mr. Chair, we had a few informational items. I did want to touch base on some information about pavilions and the options that we're going to work on at Cordiac County Park and at Lake George Regional Park. The Cordiac Park issue is that, again, some of the same wood issues that we're having with some of the pavilions, we needed to adjust, or we needed to take them down, basically. We tried fixing some of them worked and withstood that, but we're finding out that depending on which one, the options aren't as good. So it's likely what we will do is try to get some grant money in a grant to try to replace this one. But we are going to need to take it down. There'll still be the base where you'll have grills and everything that's there. You just won't have a pavilion to cover you from the rain. There are a lot of trees in that area around Cordiac Park, and that does give you some shade in the area. But for 1 year, hopefully for 1 year, we'll have to probably just have it as a spot to have picnics and with the picnic tables and things like that. But we are hoping for a grant, and we're going to move forward on that regard. And we may talk also a little bit, Commissioner Meisner had made the point that there may be some ARPA dollars that we could also look for, but we'll talk about that later. Just to let everybody know that it's going to be coming down. The Lake George Regional Park is also, we're removing one of the pavilions that has some of the same issues. We're removing that one because it's far away from the lake. It's one that is not used all that often, has not been rented all that often. We're going to look for something different, since we have to take it down anyway, something different to put there that would be more maybe like archery or something to that effect. Something that would work better since it's not really being used. People that want to rent the pavilions at Lake George want to be on Lake George. They don't want to be back in the woods somewhere, and that's where this one is located. So we'll take a look at that. The other one other issue is that we have a natural play area at Wargo Nature Center. Some of the concepts were brought to us, and it's going to look it's great. It's going to look fantastic. We're really excited about that. So we did get a good look at how that's going to be laid out at Wargo, and you know, what we can see in the coming future. And Mr. Chair, I think Commissioner Meisner may have had a question, but that concludes my.
Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. No, just to reiterate for Cordiac Park, which is a well-used, beloved area. After Al Cordiac, I believe he was one that literally created the parks system for the county. So just to stress that we are going to be figuring out how to rebuild one, even though there may be a pause. So I just wanted to reiterate that as it goes down. And I will do my part, of course, and communicate that to the city of Columbia Heights, but just wanted to verbalize that today as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Meisner, and thank you, Commissioner Gamache, for that report. We'll move on to the Public Safety Committee report, and Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Public Safety Committee met on December 13th, and we did have public comment. We had a gentleman by the name of Andy Stockholm. He expressed concerns about the potential expansion of the current jail, and we appreciated his input. Our first action item is a grant renewal. The committee recommends approval and execution of a contract for the 2024-2025 off-highway vehicle grant between the state of Minnesota, the Commissioner of Natural Resources, and the Anoka County Sheriff's Office in an amount not to exceed $21,694.
Is there a motion to approve the contract?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Discussion on item 1. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brasted.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 2.
The committee recommends approval and execution of a contract for the 2024-2025 snowmobile safety grant between the state of Minnesota, the Commissioner of Natural Resources, and the Anoka County Sheriff's Office in the amount not to exceed $22,704. And I'll move that.
Okay, Commissioner Brasted, sorry, moves contract C0010522. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Any discussion on item 2? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brasted.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Item 3.
The committee recommends approval and execution of contract C0010523, Anoka County Special Weapons and Tactics Team Joint Powers Agreement with the cities of Anoka, Blaine, Columbia Heights, Coon Rapids, Fridley, Ramsey, Lina Lakes, and the County of Anoka. What we're seeing here is really an expansion of our SWAT team, and I've asked Sheriff Weiss to tell us about this expansion.
Welcome, Sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, so just a little bit of history about what we call the SWAT team, but Special Operations Unit that does high-risk law enforcement. It's a service that the Sheriff's Office has provided throughout Anoka County for decades. In addition to the Anoka County SWAT team, however, Anoka City also operated its own SWAT team that provided that level of service for the citizens of Anoka City. What we're interested is, instead of having these two different entities that work independent of one another, is having a joint effort that responds throughout Anoka County. So instead of Anoka County providing this service to our law enforcement partners, the law enforcement partners literally will have members that'll be part of the team and will respond to incidents that happen throughout Anoka County. There's a number of reasons why I'm sure you can see that it's beneficial in terms of partnerships with the 10 law enforcement agencies within the city. But I want you to know this is that the invitation to join the team was strongly supported by the current members of the SWAT team, that not every city is sending somebody to be a member of the SWAT team. Sometimes they had limitations within their own office and their ability to provide a person to do that. But I want you to know that the team was very selective. So the cities that are part of this joint powers agreement sent people to try out for the team. Not everybody was accepted. You have to have a certain level of proficiency to be accepted into the team. That said, is that when it all shook out, these individual cities that are listed on the joint powers agreement had members that now merged and become part of this countywide team, to include the Anoka City SWAT team. We have done some work with Anoka City SWAT team over the course of the last year or so under mutual aid, which has worked fine, but we want a more formal agreement. We want the member cities to pay a fee to be a part of it. We want the member cities also to join us in some of the liability risks. The SWAT team will carry its own insurance policy regarding its operations. Truly, it's a win-win for everybody in Anoka County, and I'll stand for any questions you might have.
Okay, first of all, is there a motion to get this on the table?
So moved, Mr.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brasted. Discussion on item 3. Discussion or questions for the sheriff?
Mr. Chair, I would just make the comment that the cities that I talked with are thrilled by this. This is a recruitment tool for them. The officers, when they become police officers, really want to be SWAT officers. It's one of the things they love. And so I'm thrilled that we're doing this, and the partnership that the sheriff is bringing to the agencies, the police agencies in the county is it's welcome.
Okay, Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And not a statistic that we love to concentrate on, but crime is up in Anoka County. As our population grows, the types of crime are continuing to be more serious. And so I just look at this as one more great tool in the toolbox. So really appreciate that you looked at this expansion and that really everyone was on board. I think it's a testament to how well things go in Anoka County with law enforcement and, our joint law enforcement council.
Commissioner Meiser?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm sorry, Brad, if you already mentioned this, but these cities that are listed, this is what's happening right now, but I know that the invitation is open to any other city. And I did want to make comment because it was talked about that this is actually highly competitive as well. So the officers that made the SWAT team, congratulations. And yeah, and best of luck with this. This is great. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 4.
The committee recommends adoption of resolution number 2023-PS14. It's approving final design, submission of plans, and construction of a new Anoka jail facilities. There's a lot of documentation attached, and we've got the sheriff here that we'll call on, and this is really the sheriff's jail. We take care of the financing, whatever is needed, but Sheriff Wise, if you could just tell us why we need a new jail, what the last couple years have looked like of discussions and so on.
Mr. Chair, to get this on the table, I would offer resolution 2023 PS14.
Okay, resolution's been offered by Commissioner Schulte. Sheriff.
All right, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I think it's useful to have a little bit of a history lesson, and so if you don't mind, I'll start from the current jail. Well, actually, I'll backtrack. Anoka City has hosted the Anoka County Jail as the county seat since 1893. It's been reconstructed a number of times. The last iteration was constructed in 1983. It was designed and built with the intention of housing 140 inmates. The important piece of that is it was the sleeping space for 140, but also the infrastructure was built around 140, meaning the kitchen, laundry, the Sally port, what we call booking, which is the part where people are physically brought into the jail, was built around the idea of 140 inmates being housed there. Everybody that's there is primarily pre-sentenced people. The jail was expanded in capacity almost immediately after it was built by double bunking what had intended to be single bunk cells to make the capacity of 248 beds, which has what we call a term of functional capacity of 190 beds, because there are different classifications. So you literally can't have 248 people because there's some sort of division that is often needed between minimum, medium, and maximum security, disciplinary segregation, protective custody, medical, and mental health, which is greatly expanded. The universe has changed a lot since the building was constructed. I would say it's fair to say that when it was built in the early 80s, correctional facilities like that were, the philosophy was punishment. In 2023, certainly the philosophy has morphed a great deal towards rehabilitation for the inmates that are in there, even though they're a short-term stay. Rehabilitation is important because addiction, many of the inmates that are coming in suffer from addiction histories. In addition, there are a great number of mental health needs that are commensurate with the population that is in there. That said, the building itself, there is a consensus that the building needs to be reconstructed, both in terms of the way it operates, but also the physical building itself. I don't want to belabor the point. You can have facilities talk to you about the condition of the building, but it's exactly 40 years old now, and it's failing in many ways, the building itself. So we have to make a decision on whether or not we invest in the current building or we just move on to a new building. Truthfully, the need is urgent in my view to reconstruct the building, especially because of the expectations that are placed on me and placed on the employees at the sheriff's office to be a safe space for the inmates, so that when they come in, with all the troubles that come in with them, that somehow we help them in their circumstance, and that when they're returned to the community, they're better people than they had been, or that they're on the path at least towards making some changes, whether or not it's their criminal behavior, but also their personal lifestyle choices or mental health treatment, that somehow we make for a safer Anoka County. That's a really big responsibility on me, and it weighs heavily on me. And in my mind, reconstructing the building will go a long way towards helping achieve that mission. And truly, with any elected official, I invite private conversations regarding these needs, or somebody who's truly a stakeholder. I mean, we can't make the jail available to everybody for tours because it's a restricted environment. But that said, key elected officials along the way, we've done many tours, and I don't know of a single elected official that stepped out of that facility that didn't think that some pretty drastic changes need to be made. So where we're at, we have a number of legal restrictions. The way the statute reads is that the jail needs to be constructed within the county seat, which is the city of Anoka. We're looking for a path forward, meaning incrementally take steps. I know it's not without controversy. You're bound to hear some people that have opposing views. In fact, I know I've heard them myself for important reasons, but I'm looking to take the next steps to move the project forward, that we have some kind of timeline that I can know and understand and explain to people. Because right now I don't have a timeline. I can't, if somebody asks me when I think a key will be turned to walk into the building, I don't have a clue. And I really need to have some idea of how this moves forward. So with that, I'm sure there's going to be a robust discussion. So I hope I gave a decent overview for you all.
Yeah, thank you, Sheriff, for that. I just want to start off some comments by kind of comparing this to some of the work that we did on Highway 10. And one of the statements that I made on Highway 10 was, if we're not going to build it, let's stop talking about it. And the reason for that is what I refer to as a burn rate. Right now, construction inflation is probably in the 8% range, maybe higher. It was probably in the 5% range back there, and it's just a simple mathematical equation to determine what every year costs on a given project, you know, in terms of that burn rate. And so I want to apply that to this discussion as well. If we're not going to upgrade this jail, let's stop talking about it, because the longer we keep talking about it, the more time that goes by, the more it gets expensive, okay? The more it's going to cost the residents of Anoka County. And so starting with that, I want to thank this subcommittee of sorts that existed. It was a gathering of Commissioner Gamache, myself, the county attorney, the sheriff, Scott Baumgartner, the Councilmember Weaver, Councilmember Skogquist, the Anoka Police Chief, and I don't know if I'm forgetting anyone. There's certainly county attorney staff as well that were present. We've come together on a few different occasions to kind of talk through some of these issues, and people have volunteered their time, you might say, out of a very busy workday to try and come to some understanding on this, and I believe we've made some headway on that, and I want to thank every member that participated in that, in those discussions. So, that being said, I think there's obviously as the resolution is written here, it's a desire to keep the ball moving forward, and that's kind of where we're at. We've had open houses on this. We've had public comment on this. We've had emails. Bjorn Skogquist is here. He sent an email most recently this morning to us. We've read those. We've taken those under consideration. And so here we are today, and we need to discuss it as a board. So I'm assuming it's going to take a little time. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I would actually, and thank you very much, Brad, for your presentation. I would like to actually make a motion to postpone this entire resolution for a date of Tuesday, January 23rd. I hope that we are open to that for further discussion before we bring and actually propose this resolution. So that is my motion.
I'm sorry, County Attorney Johnson, do we need a second on that postponement?
So, Chair Look and Commissioners, yes, that motion would require a second. Once you get into the second, then that would essentially stop discussion at this point in time, and only discussion on the postponement would be the discussion that would be allowed. So if you want to discuss it at this point in time, now is the time to do it, but a motion has now been made, and so it needs a second to go forward.
Is there a second to postpone?
Second.
Okay. Discussion on postponement. No, we can have no discussion on postponement. Okay. We will proceed to a vote on postponement. As far as postponement goes, as I understand, there's a date and certain time
Yep,
required.
a date of certain time, which is Tuesday, January 23rd.
January 23rd is where you want to postpone it to.
Correct.
And just if I could confirm with staff, that's a regular council meeting that we, or excuse me, board meeting that we have
is.
set. Great, thank you.
Okay, so the motion is postponed to January 23rd. All in favor of postponing this to January 23rd, please signify by saying aye.
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 Although-
Do we need a roll call, or?
We don't, but I have Commissioner Gamache, Meisner, and Reinert. All those opposed signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
So there's 4 of us that do not want to postpone it, as I'm reading the room and the votes. So we will return now to the resolution at hand, and Commissioner Jepson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I voted aye against the postponement, because to your point, to your very, very well said point, we cannot continue kicking the can down the road. This has to be discussed. And the discussion point that I'm going to make is I am not going to support this resolution, even though I know that something has to be built. I firmly believe we need a new jail. I firmly believe that the current structure is not safe for your deputies or the inmates. And I am in full support of a new jail. And I know this will be against a lot of what residents have said, what we've heard, but I do believe that a jail belongs here in this environment where it's been housed for decades. Having said that, there are a number of things in the resolution that I do not agree with. Primarily, the number one thing is a lot of the numbers in here, I have a real problem with. The data that was mentioned in the report, I can't argue with the data. That's the entity that put it together is far smarter than me. What I have a problem with is the data from the report being put into this resolution is very conflicting, because from the report, it includes the consolidation of the jail, the workhouse, and the boarded out people, where in this resolution, it speaks directly to the jail only. And so for that very specific reason, I think plus another of other concerns that I have within the resolution, I will not be supporting it.
Administrator Silveraja, just to put you on the spot, are we currently still boarding out, and what's the ballpark cost do we spend on that? Sorry, I didn't mean to surprise you with that, but I don't know if, Sheriff, if maybe you have that. Are we currently still boarding people out, number one?
Yes.
Okay, so there is a cost to that, and last time I recall, it was in the millions or something of that nature to board people out because of the classification changes that we've received on this jail here. Essentially reducing, as the sheriff indicated, our capacity down because we can't combine certain classifications or reinvented classifications by the Department of Correction, shall we say. So, okay, just want to clarify that. So there is not advocating for or against, I'm just saying there is a cost to providing a jail service that we cannot provide with our current facility here because it can't house the population that we need to house. Okay, so that's just for my own edification, that clarification. I've got Commissioner Brasted. I'm sorry.
Point of order, do we have a motion on the floor?
We do. Yep.
Okay.
It was an offer of the resolution by Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Brasted.
When you're talking about boarding out inmates, there's a big liability and a cost to that. There's the liability of transportation, there's the staffing of that, and so much goes into that I mean, we really need to work as efficiently as possible.
Okay. So I just want to, I had mentioned earlier, we had this group of individuals that got together to talk about this topic, and I think that we have, there's plenty of evidence that there's significant deficiencies with the current facility we have. And whether it's your classifications or the foundational structure or whatever the case may be. I believe some of those deficiencies can be remedied, others cannot, short of legislative, change. So the discussion, as I want to summarize it, as I understand it, in the last meeting. It was issue of size and, you know, kind of the pushback on taking Van Buren and kind of the overall footprint of it. And I think there's some willingness maybe by the community to say, well, given the current jail and the current parking ramp, that if the new jail kind of took up that spot, you know, there wouldn't be as much maybe difference in what appears to be there now and that much pushback from that standpoint. But I think the concern then is what happens 50 years from now? You know, we built a smaller jail. 50 years from now, we're kind of in the same boat saying this is not meeting our needs or whatever the case may be. I hate to be throwing shade on our community from the standpoint of crime statistics, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they're going down short of COVID. You know, when people were kind of sequestered to their homes, it seems to be going up. It seems to be on a rapid climb, actually, which is not a, you know, it doesn't speak well of society, I guess. So 50 years from now, either we do a 180 and correct our societal ills, or we continue growing in terms of the size of the needs. So then the discussion becomes, you know, do we take Bjorn Skogquist's house there and Baumgartner's, you know, law firm and, you know, and build another jail? And does that footprint then become that much more? And I think that's if I had to guess, I don't know that anyone's presented that to me, but just kind of reading folks, I think that's a fear. And so the discussion then became, what's a secondary location that we can, you know, ask of the city to come to us and say, okay, offer a fiscally responsible secondary location that this could, you know, kind of be conceived or thought of. And I will readily admit that that is a tough bar to hit. And the reason why is because the courts go with it. It's not just a jail that's going to be located somewhere. We can't be moving people from a jail, wherever that is, to here, facing all those transport costs and the safety costs, and we have to have 2 deputies per inmate, and I mean, it's just, it's a staffing nightmare. So the courts go with it. County Attorney's Office needs to be present for the work that they're doing. Corrections need to be present. So it then evolved into this Justice Center, I believe is your term, Attorney Johnson, I appropriately termed it. But a Justice Center that would move somewhere and potentially vacate down here. And there's some people that have reservations about that. I mean, you know, it was pretty obvious during COVID that some of these restaurants were drying up. They just did not have this population from the government center to go down on a lunch, you know, hit the lunch hour. And if it moves somewhere else, there would be a significant portion of people that would be working up there then. That doesn't mean they can't come down here to lunch, obviously, but they just wouldn't be as easy to get down here and to do that. So that's an additional concern of that. But I just want to kind of, for the sake of the education of those that are watching, those that are present here today, that this is kind of where the discussion has gone. It's not necessarily a fiscally responsible option from the standpoint that if the jail costs $250 million and the courts cost $150 million, you know, I'm just throwing numbers at the wall here. You're getting up to $500 million here pretty quick. So now, if that $500 million is, you know, something that's going to serve us for the next 100 to 200 years, I doubt facilities are built, you know, here the way they are necessarily in Europe, but nevertheless, if it's going to serve us for an extended period of time, perhaps that's a good investment. And that's kind of some of the discussions that kind of precipitated from this small gathering of people. And I think they're honest discussions and they're good discussions because it's showing that it's not just the county says it's going here and forget the rest of you. It's a valuable discussion on how can we try and be good partners with our city? How can we try and represent, you know, as many viewpoints as possible while providing a facility, and I forget the terms that the statute requires us to have, but it's a reasonably acceptable.
Suitable and sufficient.
Suitable and sufficient, thank you very much. Facility to do the work that we need to do and to keep our people safe, to keep the inmates safe, to provide an additional mental health component that is the latest hot topic out there that a lot of people are in our jails because of mental health related issues, and maybe they shouldn't be there. They should be somewhere else addressing those concerns. So all this is in an effort to try and maybe lead some discussion. It's not an easy decision. It's not, I think, it's what keeps people up at night, I think. But it's an important discussion because it's relative to our county. It's relative to the services we need to provide. And financially, it's a juggernaut. So anyways, Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well said. I was also on that committee, and we had some good discussions. The last meeting probably had the most of the discussion. It may or may not have been exactly what we were thinking about at the time, but in the resolution that we have, it does say that alternative jail site and a city proposal. And while we asked the city to do some things, they are moving forward on that. We heard that from their city manager, Greg Lee, at our public safety meeting, that they are in contact with state senators and state representatives to have some discussion. But let's be, I think, realistic as to where that might go. We have on here March 29th, a 90-day period to have some feedback to see how things are going. And the county attorney had indicated at the public safety meeting that we could move that on to a later date if possible, if that's necessary, if we feel that there's something moving along that seems reasonable. It's my understanding, and we talked about the Rum River campus as possibly a second site. The Rum River campus is really the only other site within Anoka County that the county, or excuse me, within the city of Anoka that the county owns. So that's why it was put out there as a second site. And it also fit with what our architects looked at as it would have size. Obviously, there's an issue there that we're aware of. That means buildings need to be torn down in order to build the jail. And that is not high on the list of desire by the city council. So the other idea is that they had, and that is the one that they are pushing, and it may not have gotten to all of us in the information, but I have talked with a couple of the city council members because I had the questions, and it's the site that is a state-owned site, which is just north of Rum River. It currently houses a couple of facilities, and it has plans for the future that we've heard from the state before. But they are moving forward with trying to get legislation, if I understand correctly. They are moving forward to try to get legislation in this session to get that land and make it available for this building. Now, whether they're going to be successful at that or not, I don't know. I would like us to give them the time that they would need, because we're already saying March 29th, 2024 is on here. I would say maybe if we decided to just say, why don't we say the end of the legislative session? We know the legislature does not move quickly. But if we are able to say by the end of this legislative session, if there is no traction in the State House and the State Senate to do that, we have to go back and then say, okay, this is the plan that we have. We have two sites. One would have to build a Justice Center, which, as Commissioner Look indicated, is going to be a lot more money than what we're currently talking about and for the jail. And then two, the other one is the jail site right here that we've talked about. That would be what I would hope that we could at least say that this is something we can listen to, we can talk to. I don't think there's a possibility of changing the state law that says you have to build the jail in your current, or in the
Outside of the county.
Outside of the county seat. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. I don't think there's a possibility that that's going to ever pass. There's too many counties that are just going to say, we're not taking that on, and they're all going to go back into the legislature and tell all our legislators, no, don't do it. Somebody brought up Chisago County, and I've known about Chisago County. That's where my parents lived. And what I understand what Chisago County did is they annexed the place where they annexed it from another city, so officially they were right back in the county seat. And I don't imagine although Councilmember Weaver once mentioned he could annex Andover, which I thought, that's a great idea. We'll see how that works. But the reality is that those things are not going to go. The only really piece of reality, because from what I've talked with the county or the city council, they don't want to do any work. They don't want to do anything to the Rum River site. They don't want to tear down buildings. From what I understand, they've already have Hidden Haven or Heroes for
Haven for Heroes.
Thank you, Haven for Heroes. They got to shorten that name. But they've got some great people working up there, and they've done 2 great buildings. They've got a 3rd one already planned to do the cottage in between. So that's the building that would be left out of what we could maneuver around, and we'd have to maneuver around that because the other 2 are there. And then they're doing the auditorium, which is another site that they're working on, and then they've already raised money, is what I understand. So I don't expect that there's going to be any desire to go there from the city. And those are the only 2 sites we own. So it requires legislation by the city to get that property to be able to be sold. We don't know the cost, what that would cost the city or the county. We don't know the cost of a justice center. So obviously, everything kind of focuses back to here because we know those costs and we know that they're more reasonable because we're not rebuilding our whole court system. But I'm willing to give them the time. I think the only question we have is then, what do we need to go to the city with? What information do we have to get from the city as we want to do this? I think a kind of a dual track to say, we're going to continue to work with our staff and bring this information to the cities, to the city of Anoka and say, here's what we need from you now. But I'm not sure how much of that we're going to get done in the next 3 months in that 90-day period. So that would be one of the questions I think we should discuss, how we would do that. And then, again, I would hope that maybe we can just say, let's change under alternative jail site and city proposal, item number 2 must be delivered to the county by March 29th, 2024, to say something to the effect it must be delivered to the county by the end of the legislative session, the 2024 legislative session, so that we would know that, yes, they've got a plan, or the legislature's passed it. Yes, they're going to sell the property to us. We don't know how much. If we can get it for $1, that'd be great, but I don't think that's going to happen. But at the very least, we have the possibility of buying it, or no, they can't get it through the legislature. We don't have any chance to buy this. We have to go back to the first plan.
Commissioner Schulte.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first, I'm going to weigh in on the suitable and sufficient jail. The site that Anoka is referring to, Commissioner Gamache is referring to, is adjacent to the high school. I have a problem with a jail adjacent to a high school. It just doesn't work for me socially. Aside from that, it would have to be a justice center because we don't want to transport inmates to and from a courthouse 1.5 miles away or more. It doesn't make sense. So it would have to be a complete justice center with a new courthouse, a new sheriff's station built into it, and of course, a big new jail. So it would be very expensive. And if we wait for the legislature to fund that, that'll be 3 or 4 sessions because they talk about it one session, they get it into committee the second session, and then they think about voting for it in the 3rd session. So I don't think it's a reasonable expectation to get it through in this session. Now, I don't doubt that they will try, and putting it into this resolution, we could put in the resolution if they can get it through this session. But I would beef it up a lot more than that. I would say it not only has to get through this session, it has to be funded this session as a justice center. Because if we say get it through this session, then we have to come up with the money to fund a justice center. That's a massive amount of funding, and we don't have that funding. We don't want to fund a justice center. We are fiscally responsible. We're talking about funding a jail that we can't afford, but we need to. We need to build a jail. And we talk about a committee, and yes, thank you for everybody that served on that committee, but I'll remind you, we've had committees before you. I served on a committee along with Administrator Sivaraja, previous county attorney, previous sheriff, Commissioner Brasted. We've served on committees for jails. I believe we've served on
2017 where we started really working on this.
I mean, there's been a number of committees where we've served on jails and jail committees, and we've worked hard, and we've talked to, well, previous city council members from Anoka, trying to figure out how we're gonna make this happen. And we keep running into brick walls, and it keeps getting put off and put off because it's hard decisions. It's hard decisions that people don't wanna make, and then we don't make them because they're hard and because it offends people. And that's hard. Nobody wants to hurt people's feelings. But the fact is, it has to be made. This is a decision we're up against. The Department of Corrections tells us we have to make this decision. And sheriffs, sorry, Sheriff, but sheriffs come and go. County commissioners come and go. City council members come and go. You know what? Inmates come and go. But they're our family members. Those inmates are our family members. Those corrections officers are our family members. We need to take care of them. And we're only going to do that if we build this jail. And we need to build this jail. We need to start the process. We got to quit talking about it. I've offered this resolution because I think we have to quit talking about it. We have to take the action and we have to do it. So I've made the resolution. I hope you can support it. I hope we can start this process. This will start the process. This doesn't end it. This gives us an opportunity to start the process. And then maybe the city finds another opportunity that'll work. Maybe we modify this opportunity. Maybe somebody sees something in this process where we can make this process better. Maybe we can make our building better to serve the city of Anoka better, to serve its residents better. Maybe it can serve the county residents better. But at least the process has a way forward. Because I worked hard when I was on the committee. Commissioner Brasted worked hard. Rhonda Sivaraja worked really hard. Sheriff Stewart worked hard. Every city council member for Anoka worked hard 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And I guarantee you this committee over here worked hard when they did stuff. But it hasn't been happening. It just doesn't happen because there's too many differing viewpoints and too many convergent viewpoints that don't agree. But we have to start. And I hope today is the day we start. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the reason that I made a motion just to postpone for a future date. So I agree with so many of your points, and by the way, I want to recognize everyone who is here, whether you're elected or not, who is listening, because this is important to your community. And I've been very frank too with some of the council members from Anoka, and I have often said I don't think I'm going to be able to deliver ultimately what you want. And that's okay, but I can still listen and I can still figure this out. But I want to go back to this resolution. You're right, we do need to move forward. I do want to vote yes in support of moving forward for a new jail. We need a new jail for all of the reasons we've talked about. But the resolution before us, I've got too many questions and I'm not comfortable with. Now, I own this, so the first time that I saw this resolution was at the public safety meeting, which was last Wednesday. I did ask my questions. It did not give a good enough time to really hash it out, though, but I own that. So that is, and I assume that we're starting this conversation that a lot of us have our own questions. So I'm gonna focus back to the resolution here. So under the alternative jail site, and there's lots of things that I like about this resolution. I do think that the city giving them an opportunity for an actual alternative site is great. I think them having the skin in the game, meaning that they are leading it, I think those are good things, and we can still move forward with our own. But the language in here, again, we talked about this specific site location of the Rum River campus, and I understand the task force, determined that is the best place. In this public safety meeting, it was vocalized that, to Commissioner Gamash's point, they're not necessarily looking at that site. So even if we could allow the language of Rum River campus or alternative approved site, I'm trying to find a way that I could say yes to. The way that this is laid out right here, though, it doesn't sound like it's giving as much of what they are intending to right now. So it doesn't quite match up to what the city of Anoka is saying that they actually want to explore. So there's that. There's a few things in here, again, under the alternate jail site. This is a very thorough resolution. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to read it through. We also talk about the city's proposal for a criminal justice center must include assurances for long-term. We define that by 100 years. I believe our expectation is 50 years out, not 100 years. So these are questions that I just have that I'm not fully comfortable if we're going to offer something that we can maybe improve it a little bit. So that's where I'm at right now, but it really is about some of the language in this resolution. It is not about not supporting the jail. We do need to move forward on the jail. I agree with you about that.
Further comments? Commissioner Reiner.
Yeah, so I will not be supporting this motion today. Again, this is, I think, us getting over our skis a little bit. I've been hearing a lot of things about, that we have to move forward. Well, this is more than moving forward, actually. This is approving the design, the location, the plans, and the construction. This is spending money, and $250 million more than likely. In the resolution, it says Anoka County, by and through its Board of Commissioners, being fully satisfied that all feasible options regarding location and final design options for the new jail have been diligently researched and thoughtfully considered, hereby adopts. So, we're talking about the current location, we're talking about Rum River. Now there's a third location that's being thrown out there as a possibility. We haven't done our due diligence. We don't know where this is going to be built, actually. And to approve the design and plans and construction on a building that we don't know where it's going to go is kind of ridiculous, actually. So I do agree, though. We do need to move forward on this, get those conversations done as far as with the city. There's a lot of static between the city of Anoka and the county right now, and I think more conversation needs to be had there. But I can't approve a plan for a $250 million project when I don't know where it's going to go. As far as the lifetime of this project, I guess when I talked to the architect or the engineering firm that we have, well, I asked that question because I said at the time, I think the jail was 39 years old, so about a year ago I asked this question. I said, we're replacing a building after just 39 years? And they said, yeah, well, that's about the life expectancy of a jail. I said, so if we spend this money and build this new jail, the life expectancy is 40 years? And he said, yes. So that's really what we're looking at, is a 40-year-old jail out of the mouth of our architect and engineering firm. And that's $250 million for 40 years. So I understand we need to update the jail, rebuild the jail, do something with the jail. But I can't support, approving the design, the plans, construction, and location today before we know where it's going to be built. So that's a no.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I applaud your efforts to get something going because I think we're all in agreement something needs to get going. And I absolutely agree with that. Again, I'm just not going to support this resolution. In hearing you all talk, if the city of Anoka wants to move forward with legislation, with finding a new property, with getting some statute changed, that is absolutely your decision. My serious concern in hearing us all talk here is we still have the say in where it goes. And if we don't agree on the extreme cost to change locations from here, I don't know if that is going to be time well spent. My suggestion would be time would be better spent, again, you can do what you want to do, would be better spent in working together on a location that we collectively agree on so that we compromise, we come to terms, we can get things moving, because I'm very fearful that if this goes to legislation, we're looking into May before we even start conversations again. And then we're starting this whole thing all over again of where it's gonna go. And that's a big if, which is delaying things even further, which I don't think, I know from hearing the sheriff, I don't know if we can even delay it 6 months, let alone, depending on what the legislation does. So that's just my cautionary comment. So hopefully we can productively work together rather than sit and wait for legislation that may or may not happen.
Further comments?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, County Attorney Johnson.
I would just say, Commissioners, that the whole point of getting the resolution before you was to authorize the architect to start having those conversations now with the City of Anoka and the city staff on their pre-planning meetings so that they can come back to this board with more specifics about what it's going to take. The plan has been since before Sheriff Wise and I took office to build the jail here attached to the government center. It was candidly through, I think, very positive conversations and input from the Anoka City Council, through the city attorney, through members of the Anoka community, that it opened up a discussion about the potential for an alternative site. But the idea behind the resolution, the underlying idea and current behind the resolution, is to move forward in parallel tracks then. That if we're going to consider an alternative site, and there may be one, the one that you all heard about at the public safety meeting is not one that had been advanced to the county board as a potential alternative site before. So if we're going to consider alternatives, that's great, but it's also got to come with it the potential for carrying with it the kinds of services that need to go with the jail if it's not going to be attached here to the government center. So I think there are criminal justice and public safety stakeholders around at the city level, at the county level, that are willing to have those discussions to work on an alternative vision. But here we are 5, 6 years after the real intensive work started to begin, after 2 years of design, after having steering committee meetings within the county where facilities and the sheriff got together to work with the architect on things. And after putting into the potential plans and concepts that are here before you that were shared with the community at the open house, those design elements that the city wanted if it were to be built here. So my biggest concern is that if this resolution does not go forward today, that will mean a significant delay, and that will carry with it significant expense to the taxpayers and citizens of Anoka County, including those in the city of Anoka, but all the rest of the county as well. I don't see a potential barrier down the road if we're actively working together with a task force from the sheriff's office and facilities and the city on alternative options on if a plan materializes and legislation comes forward and there can be some general numbers that can be put behind it for the board to relook at that or to extend the deadlines that have been set in this so that we encourage people to really take this seriously and keep moving it forward because of the imminent need that the sheriff has identified here. But I thank you for your consideration.
Commissioner Schulte.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Attorney Johnson, for your comments. As was mentioned, we've been in meetings for a very, very long time about this, and for those of you that don't support the resolution, I hope that you get deeply engaged in these meetings, because you will support a motion like this if you spend enough time in these meetings. You will, because you'll understand it a whole lot better when you sit in these meetings. Every time we get really close to doing something like this, to moving this forward, a new site comes up to research, to talk about. Every time. It's what's happened every time. A new area. Let's go look at that site. And then it drags on for another 6 months or another year while we research that site. It's what happens. And I'm not saying Anoka does that intentionally. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's what happens every single time. It's unfortunate, but we've got to get off the ball. We've got to make a decision. So far, the delay has cost us $43 million. That's the number. Our last meeting, we talked about a levy. And we had very long and hard, arduous conversations about $7 million. A shift in the budget. A levy, not the budget, a levy. Long and hard conversations about $7 million. And we gave away $43 million because we didn't build a jail yet. And we're gonna give away more if we don't pass this resolution today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Meisner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I agree with you. Thank you, Commissioner Schulte, for talking about like us getting more engaged. I mean, a task force is a great tool to like really drill down, but we haven't had full discussions as a body with the full body of the city of Anoka. We should have been having more of them. That has been the method, and I think where the disconnect has been happening, because we have these onesie-twosies conversations, and then to your point, something changes, and until we like, and I don't care how many times it takes. This is hard stuff to hash out. Let's just come together, full bodies. Okay, so I do want to try to find a yes to this resolution. I've stated my issues. You will have to help me with the process in terms of the Robert Rules of Order. So I believe that I would offer a friendly amendment. I don't know who I would offer the friendly amendment to, if it would be you or the county attorney. But some of this language, again, with the Rum River campus, I don't like that it only says a Rum River campus. Can we expand that? I also, the 100 years as a solution, I think that they should be held of the same time frame expectation as we are. I believe that is 50 years, not 100 years. And then as far as the March 29th date, as Commissioner Gamache stated, I mean, okay, fine. If we want to change the date, I think you said May, Commissioner Gamache. So change the date to more than 90 days. If those things can be made, and then they'd be made throughout this in terms of just calling out the Rum River campus, that is something that I could live with and vote yes for then that resolution with those language changes.
Is that a motion?
It is a motion.
Is there a second?
Well, let's articulate the motion. So that we're all clear. So I'm looking on page 5, paragraph 1, says alternative jail site city proposal. Despite the above findings regarding the county's preferred location for the jail, the Anoka County Board of Commissioners, in taking into account local input from citizens of the city of Anoka and city council members, remains willing to engage in expedited discussions regarding the city's request to relocate the jail out of downtown Anoka to the alternative site of the Rum River campus, Old State Hospital, as part of a much larger concept to construct a new justice center for Anoka County. So do you want to include an either-or here? Because there are two sites that have now materialized. There is
I would, again, and I said this in the public safety meeting, why do we have to have any specific site at all? Why, right? But you had mentioned that, so then
Well, the county owns that site, and forgive me for interrupting, Commissioner, but the county owns that site, and that was a site that was specifically requested by the city of Anoka to have the county consider as a part of an alternative site analysis. So that was already an approved site that we had by the city of Anoka. I understand there are some in the city of Anoka that are legitimately concerned about historic buildings on the site, and there has never been a discussion about tearing down all of the historic buildings. There's been a discussion about, you know, whether we could fit things in and what might need to be taken down, but with the idea of preserving some of the history up there. But, you know, we could put here to relocate the jail out of downtown Anoka to the alternative site of the Rum River campus, Old State Hospital, and I could put in here, or another approved alternative site.
Correct.
Are you okay with that as part of your motion?
Yes.
Okay.
50 to, from 100 to 50.
Site.
I'm sorry?
From 100 to 50.
100 years to 50 years.
Yep.
But I want to talk about that right now. So the idea for the 50 years was jail.
Right.
What you're talking about now is a completely different concept in the alternative to being essentially a courthouse, a significant courthouse. And so do you want to hold a courthouse to a 50-year plan, or do you want to hold a courthouse and jail facility to a 100-year plan? Because you're building the courthouse there, and 50 years from now, this same county board is going to be having the same conversation about where do we put a potential future expansion, assuming population trends increase.
Different county board, but yes.
Well, yeah, right. But you never know. So the idea was to have a concept, and the discussion that came out of those small core group meetings was to have a concept that went into the next century, so that there was expansion space and the like. And so that was why that 100-year time frame was used, because it's something different.
Commissioner
Okay,
Meisner?
yep. So I hear what you're saying. And then again, part of my conflict with this resolution is it's like, which is it? Is it flexible or is it rigid? So if it's flexible, again, why do we have to maybe then define it at all? I hear what you're saying. But again, so these are the nuances that I'm not comfortable with this resolution. And I am trying to work this out so I can say yes today. But I'm also being honest. So you're asking me about, it is a different project, so that is true. It is now a criminal justice center. It is no longer a jail. But again, the expectation of that projection, I mean, our courthouse has been here for how many years? Right now, 50. So
30-some.
Okay.
It's more than, well, I mean, the government center's been here for 30-some, but the courthouse goes back farther than that. But, I mean, there was a time where we had a very kind of regal-looking old steepled courthouse, and that was torn down to rebuild or to build part of the old courthouse. I would offer a thought to you, Commissioner, and that is that this all remains within the full discretion of this board as to whether any proposal that comes from the city is acceptable or not acceptable. So from that standpoint, it's very flexible. The idea of putting in some of the benchmarks in here on the things that a justice center would require or need to include was to give an idea and a good guidance to the city of Anoka so that it can commence its work and to include that in. Now, they may come back and say, we have an idea for something that'll give you future expansion even beyond what you want if necessary, or could it be 15 courtrooms, and could you put or maintain a few courtrooms here in the government center? Everything is on the table, but we didn't think the sheriff and I and others who were working on the proposal for the resolution didn't think it fair or appropriate to just say to the city of Anoka, come up with something. I mean, what's going to happen is that if the board approves this resolution, the sheriff's office and his staff and facilities and their staff and our office and some of our staff are gonna have to get the courts involved and corrections involved and probation involved and others involved to come forward with ideas and then partner with the city attorney and the city staff and city planning to see what this would ultimately look like if it came together.
Okay, so going back to the question, do I want it changed from 100 years to 50 years? If what you're saying is like there's still plenty of flexibility, then yes, I would like that changed from 100 years to 50 years, understanding that we still have flexibility.
Okay, your motion would include then changing for long-term 50-plus years? Are you okay with that? Just changing that to 50-plus?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the I don't know, the due date, the deadline.
In our,
Commissioner Gamache talked about it.
Mr. Chair, the end of the legislative session by state law is May 20th, 2024.
thank you, May 20, 2024. So if I understand properly your motion, Commissioner, it would be to add after the parenthetical Old State Hospital, add the phrase or another appropriate alternative site. and to change March 29, 2024 to May 20, 2024, and to change 100-plus years to 50-plus years.
Correct.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion on the amendment. Commissioner Jepson.
Sorry. Yes, point of clarification. Now, I understand that all of the information prior to final decisions page, that's just background information. A lot of what is being asked to change is the background information. What we're really deciding on is the, be it further resolved, the last page bullets, correct?
The whole resolution.
We would have to make one additional change to the May 2024 on the final resolution, just to be internally consistent.
Correct, but, I mean, what we're really approving is this final decision page, correct? Okay, so, I mean, we can talk about changing numbers and dates and stuff like that, but, you know, ultimately, we're approving the design. We're moving forward with final plan submissions. To Commissioner Reinert's point, do we have the final plan? The final plans approved and stuff? But the other very concerning statement on here for me is, or to otherwise condemn the land required for the jail facilities. If we approve this resolution, we are approving the potential for condemnation of land.
A road. I'm sorry, Mr.
What's
Chair.
the parking?
Yeah. Van Buren.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, so we have before us a motion and a second on a friendly amendment, making 3 changes. To the date, May 20th, to the year, 50-plus, and to other locations, not just defined as the Rum River.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. The county attorney just advised me that I should also state wherever in these clauses that it's talking about Rum River campus needs to also have that addition of whatever.
Or another approved alternative site.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brasted,
Nay.
Commissioner Reinert,
Nay.
Commissioner Schulte,
Nay.
Commissioner Look,
Nay.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
And that fails. Okay, so before us here is a resolution as written. If you don't like it, vote against it. We need to move along. I am going to, Commissioner Brasted, you had a comment, you want to make a comment? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Similar to our discussion yesterday about our situation with IT, that was a roadmap. And what this was designed to be is a roadmap moving forward. And that's what we need to do. This has been, I recall back to 2017 discussing this. Just the other day, Commissioner Schulte and I were in a meeting where multiple police chiefs throughout the county were like, would the county please move on this? This is the Sally Port, the situation. It isn't user-friendly. It's very, very, very problematic. We need to move forward. Just like any contract, we can make amendments as we go. This isn't written in stone. The purpose is to let's move forward. And moving forward, I just want to put in the concern about the new site up by the high school. If we think the few people that objected to the citizens in the neighborhood of the jail, I can only imagine how many Anoka High School parents are gonna object to the jail being built up right next door or near to the high school. This is something just to get us off square one. We need to move forward.
It might serve as a disincentive for bad behavior, though. Anyways. I'm going to take a matter of chair privilege here, and I know that Attorney Scott Baumgartner is out in the audience. He has asked to speak. He's going to speak on behalf of the city. If you can maybe not take as long as some of the other comments, but so we can move this along. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate that. Scott Baumgartner, City Attorney for the City of Anoka. First, I'd like to address, Mr. Chair, the task force that was put together comprised of county commissioners, city council members, myself, County Attorney Johnson. Wonderful thing. It at least brought the city to the table of a discussion. Now, I do want to clarify a couple of things, and I do acknowledge Commissioner Brasted and Commissioner Schulte talking about they've been in meetings since 2017 discussing this. The difficulty I have and the difficulty the city has is the city was not part of any of those discussions. The city was not invited to the table until July of 2022. And that's when I think the meaningful discussions started to occur. Now, when we talk about the site locations changing, Commissioner Schulte, you're right. Consideration of site locations and alternative sites were discussed. But at that point in time, it was only talking about the jail facility itself. Mr. Chair, at our meeting November 23rd of this year, you brought up an insightful, visionary suggestion. Why not consider a campus location? And if we're talking about expending additional sums of funds for remodeling of the courthouse, remodeling of the government center, the county attorney's office, what about this concept of building something for the 50-plus years? That is the first time that this concept was ever brought up. That was about 4 weeks ago, folks. So to mix this alternative locations and suggesting that it's been bouncing around, no, that was the first time this was ever discussed. And I think it was a very good discussion. I think out of all of our task meetings that we had, I think that was one of the most productive, insightful, visionary, because you are looking. And as we discussed at that, as Mr. Chair, as you may recall, what we had talked about is the finite footprint of this location in the downtown and the need or the potential need for expansion into the future. Where's that going to go? As you hopefully jokingly alluded to, my office right across the street being taken, we do have a finite footprint here. And that spurred the additional conversation about an alternative location and the ability to then expand if necessary. As I'm reviewing this resolution, I have some concerns as well. What I do want to share with the county commissioners is the city is still hopeful to partner and work and cooperate with the county. And in doing so, subsequent to this resolution being presented from the Public Safety Committee, the city has enlisted the services of Bolton Mink relative to assisting with any kind of site plan evaluations, site location evaluations. I want you to know that the city is invested in this and does want to be a partner in this. Some of the difficulties with this resolution, however, is it's putting limitations on the city and what they can and can't do. Much like the county, you don't want to spend money not knowing what the end result may or may not be. What this resolution is essentially kind of offering the city is an opportunity to evaluate different locations and submit a proposal. But what it's really asking is, okay, build me a house and I'll tell you if I like it or not. The city needs more insight, more feedback. We don't know what type of facility, what needs to be contained in the facility, what does the county want to see in the facility. The city council would suggest that there be a committee formed to help the city identify what is it that this county would need if we're going to go forward with a site evaluation. We certainly can't propose a structure of a building without knowing what types of facilities the county needs or has interest in. The state hospital just kind of came to light in light of some of the elected officials getting on board. I wouldn't write that off. And Commissioner Meisner, I appreciate your friendly amendment suggestion for alternatives, because it is an alternative. The point of where the jail is going to be and people not liking it, it's NIMBY. Nobody wants a jail. And that's what we're faced with. What the county has to figure out is what is the best location, knowing you're not going to please everybody. So we're looking at the lesser of all potential evils here. And we have to kind of weigh the pros and cons of those evils against one another. So I understand the high school won't like it. I understand the residents don't like it here. Nobody's going to like it wherever it goes. where's the best fit for something like this, taking into consideration the potential expansion of the site, and the longevity of the structure. So what I would suggest and what I would ask this county to do is the resolution as written really does hand tie the city in trying to be that partner. We don't know what it is that we're supposed to propose. We don't know what it is that the county wants us to propose. Help us. Help the city identify what it is you want them to propose. I can't propose a house for you. I don't know what you want. And that's kind of what this resolution's doing. That along with the time frame, again, I appreciate the expansion. This has been since 2017. You're giving the city 3 months. We can't do that. Let's do it right the first time. Thank you.
Thank you. I got Commissioner Brasted.
No.
Oh, Commissioner Reinert.
Yeah, okay, just a couple things. I mean, not sure what the conversation about being next to a high school is all about, because of the fact that, you know, we're continually told that this isn't a problem, it's a safe facility. The city of Anoka should not be concerned. There's 4 daycares that are within a couple of blocks of this building. And it's being proposed to be increased in size by 400%. But mostly I wanted to comment on, you know, what was said that, you know, hey, this resolution is just a roadmap. It's not just a roadmap. It's, you know, building the road and spending the money. This is the design, location, plans, and construction. It's spending the $250 million. It's not just a roadmap. It's building the road. And so let's be clear on that. This isn't just a plan. This is moving the entire project forward.
Commissioner Meisner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I agree, we do need to move forward, so we are in disagreement on that point. I just wanted to make comment about Commissioner Brasted's about amendments. So yes, that is absolutely true. Amendments are there as things evolve. Can we change things? Absolutely. But I do not believe that as a best practice that I should be supporting a resolution that I can't live with, that I can't support. And to the point of amendments, I literally just offered one of which I could support because again, I mean it, I want to say yes to this, I want to move forward, and it wasn't accepted. So again, that just reaffirms then that I cannot support something that I'm not comfortable with the idea that we can amend it later when the amendments I just proposed were completely, you know, not accepted as a majority. So that was going to be my only comment. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. I think that wraps up the people that want to comment. We have a offer of the resolution before us. We've had robust discussion. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Brasted.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
No.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
No.
Commissioner Jepson.
No.
Commissioner Meisner.
Nay.
Okay, that resolution fails, and I would like to remind everyone that at 8%, which is, you know, estimated, it's $20 million a year. $6 million or $10 million every 6 months. So it's real money, folks, and I want to land the plane by saying again, if we're not going to build this, let's stop talking about it, because it's only costing us money. And costing you money, everybody money. So, okay. All right, we are on to item number 5. Okay. In your lengthy committee report, Commissioner Brasted.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The last item is the committee recommends approval and execution of a contract C00105537, a services agreement between the County of Anoka, Minnesota, by and through its Sheriff's Office, and JSMD Sigma PLLC for a term of December 19th, 2023 through completion of services or December 18th, 2024, whichever occurs first, up to a maximum of $200,000. This is really a mental wellness program within our sheriff's office, And we will be using a one-time allocation of our public safety aid, and I will move that.
Okay, there's a motion for, to approve this contract. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion on item number 5. Yes.
Mr. Chair, this is a cardiovascular heart screening for officers, and there's a statistic out there, I don't remember it now, but I remember being floored by it, that they have such a higher risk of cardiovascular incidents at younger ages because of the work that they do, and this screening catches that. So we're looking forward to our officers surviving longer than other departments' officers. So congratulations, Anoka County Law Enforcement, on living longer.
So we have a motion before us and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache, Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brassad. And let the record show that Commissioner Gamache had to leave. And we have one agenda item left, and that is the reappointment of members of the Community Correction Advisory Board. You have those before you there. Judge Diana Street for judicial representative and Robert DeRoche Jr., representative 2 for District 2 representative. And I will be abstaining from this. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte, second by Commissioner Brassad. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And one abstention. Okay, and that passes with one abstention.
Sure.
Yes.
We've got item B. Did you cover that as well, or? George Burrell.
Oh, yeah.
Let me get to that here real quick. Thank you very much for that. The last item is item B, consider appointing George Burrow, replacing Jerry Peterson to the Anoka County Community Action Program as a public sector representative for a term ending March 2024. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Brassad, second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, before you go to that, I have one question. I got a couple of calls from, actually, I got 3 emails from constituents were referencing our chair process for selecting chair, and they were concerned about how we select the chair, and they were suggesting that we do rotating chairs, and they're wondering why I wasn't supporting that. And I said, well, we don't do rotating chairs. We elect the chair every year. And they were surprised by that because they got an email from a commissioner that said we rotate chairs, and that they were upset with me because I wasn't supporting that. I responded and said, no, we've never rotated chairs. And they forwarded me the emails suggesting that this commissioner insisted that we rotate chairs. It's unfortunate. And I think that every one of us should be more forthright. We should be straightforward, and we should be honest. We shouldn't be suggesting things like that. We elect chairs on this board. And we did talk about rotating chairs. We had great conversations about, should we rotate chairs or shouldn't we? Should we do elections or shouldn't we? I think that's important. I think we should all be more forthright. And we should have the ability to have those conversations. And Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meisner has a question.
When you're done.
Commissioner Reinert first, and then Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, so I'm sure that you're talking about the email that I sent out responding to responding to an email I received that was commissioners on this board sending out to residents criticizing and bad-mouthing me. So, but I did respond and said that all 7 of us have discussed rotating chair and have agreed that we'd like to have a rotating chair. And that is what you read.
I don't know that we've agreed to that. We actually agreed to status quo.
No, we have all sat in the room and said yes to rotating chair. We disagree on how to rotate, which is why we don't have.
I never agreed to a rotating chair, so please don't include me in that group.
All right, from now on, I'll say 6 out of 7 then.
I got Commissioner Meisner next, and then Commissioner Brasted?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just gonna,
Yeah.
Commissioner Schulte, I mean, I'm confused why you're bringing that up. I mean, in terms of our commissioner opinions, we can always state our opinions about anything, and you've always been a proponent of that. So I'm just a little confused why you're even bringing it up. I believe we're still being recorded.
Yeah, no bad mouthing.
No, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Meisner, I am concerned that these emails are being sent around.
Me too.
And it wasn't sent to me. This constituent sent it to me because they were concerned about my behavior. And it really wasn't my behavior. So I was concerned enough that I need to address it. I need to find out what else is being said.
You know where my office is.
Hey, let's not cut in on people's conversations, Commissioner Reinert. That's disrespectful.
Well, and we should have a meeting. We should sit down, the 7 of us, and figure out how to fix this, because we need to be a functional board. We need to be a high-functioning board where we don't send out emails
Yeah, I agree.
stabbing each other in the back.
I agree.
Because I've
You guys
never
should
been
not
a
be
part of
doing
a
that.
board that has done that. Every board I've been a part of, we can have conversations, we can even disagree, but when we leave the room, we can ask about each other's families, we can be friends. And it's the way we should be. We should be able to be friends when we leave the room. We don't need to be at each other's back, at each other's throat. And we can do that. We don't have to have this animosity.
Correct.
But we can't do that if we talk over each other. If we can have respect, if we can go with Robert's Rules of Order where we get the chair's permission to speak when we speak, if we can treat staff with respect, if we can treat everybody with respect the way we're supposed to.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call an end to this conversation. It's not really going anywhere. And I don't know that it's appropriate at this point. We can certainly have a work session to discuss it. Okay, on to a happier note here. I'm going to take a chair's prerogative to recognize a longtime employee that is retiring. This person worked for 33 years, and you can see her picture up here, for 33 years with this county. And during this year, she had poured her heart into the work here at the county, facing challenges with grace and professionalism. Later in her career, in 2019, she was appointed by the prior board to take the helm of the county. Little did she know that she would be called upon to lead in the most challenging of times. While others retired during these times, she helped Anoka County navigate through successfully during a time when no rules existed and arguably leadership at the state and national levels failed us. As one person stated, COVID was tumultuous times, and she helped to navigate us through that. I know that others have reached out to her in the wake of her retirement, asking if she would consider working for them. And this shows a recognition of her value outside of Anoka County and the respect that she's earned throughout the state. In a news article here, she indicated that she was blessed to work for Anoka County and that she has a desire to retire after a long, distinguished career and now put an emphasis on enjoying life. And so to that, I would say, well done, job well done. And if she could meet me down at the podium, I'd like to give her a recognition. On behalf of a grateful county, we appreciate your service. Thank you. Can I say a few words?
Sure.
So thank you, Mr. Chair, County Board, as well as the residents of Anoka County and staff. I didn't think I was going to do this. It has been an amazing 33 years. And really how fitting that my last county board meeting is today, because today is my 33rd anniversary. I started December 19th of 1990. When I walked through the doors of the 3rd floor courthouse on my first day with the decor of green, orange, gold, and brown, before this building was ever built, I thought I would be here for just 3 years until I could find some other job. But as one of my favorite sayings go, you write your plans in pencil and you give God the eraser. And he has done a lot of erasing to my plans over the years. But here I am, 33 years later, because somehow this place is special. Somehow you just get sucked in. You get sucked in by making a difference in the lives of others in the community. From the senior citizen who was all alone and trusted no one in government because she grew up behind the Iron Curtain, to the elderly couple who called to complain about property tax issue and soon became like family because theirs was estranged, finding myself watering their plants, caring for their chickens, and helping care for her as she was on her deathbed. To the woman who had twins prematurely, who years later saw me at an adapted sports event and shouted to the entire stadium that I was her caseworker of the twins who were now grown and playing adapted sports. To the woman who called my supervisor to complain that I was too nice to her. Everything we do in this place, we're making more of an impact than we realize. My career has afforded me the blessing of meeting so many amazing people throughout the community that I would have never had the opportunity to meet had it not been for the work that I've done at the county. And it has allowed my life to be impacted in a positive way because of my interactions with them. And you get sucked in by the people who work here. I have spent more of my life here than I have at home with my family. So the people at work became like a second family to me. Anoka County is the 4th largest county in the state, but it still has that small town feel because we truly care about one another. The employees at Anoka County are second to none. We all hold different positions, whether it be as board members or administrators or department heads, but at the end of the day, it's the employees who are the most important. They do the work that make everyone else look good. It's the facilities employee who makes sure residents walk into a clean, welcoming building, the front reception staff who greet people who come in, and the administrative staff who answer the phone. They are the ones who are the rock stars because they set the tone for every other interaction a person has with county government. Every employee interacts with the public in some way, and they are what makes Anoka County great. The leadership team is amazing. They take the policies you as a board make and make sure they are implemented in the best way possible. They are professionals who are experts in their field and give recommendations based on their professional judgment, looking at the best interest of the organization overall, and then you get to make the decision. The best thing you as a board can give to staff moving forward is to treat them with respect and to be decisive. The road of life is paved with flat squirrels who couldn't make a decision, and I know no one wants to be a flat squirrel. To our employees, the residents, and the county board, it has been an honor and a privilege to serve this great county. Thank you for that opportunity. And last but not least, thank you to my family for their encouragement, support, and patience throughout my entire career. I could not have done it without them by my side. I wish you all the very best, and thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you for your service. And I think when I came here 13 years ago, she told me I couldn't tweet. So I never have tweeted, but I do recall, her supporting as a commissioner some of the projects that I worked on, particularly I think the one that stunk the worst for her was the rail stop in Ramsey. She held her nose while she voted for it. But that's been not necessarily a support of trains. There was a train going by. It was a supportive development that I think there's been about $200 to $300 million worth of development that has spawned because of that project. But at any rate, it's been a privilege and an honor, certainly serving with you, working with you. And I got to be honest, I'm jealous that you're retiring and heading off to, bluer skies in Florida and everywhere else. And so congratulations and job well done. Further, Commissioner Schulte.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me see if I can get some of these titles right. Your Honor, Madam Chair, Madam Administrator, a friend. Lastly, thank you, Rhonda, for your leadership and friendship. Like Commissioner Look, you helped me get a lot of stuff done, important stuff. You taught me how to work in a county board, how to get stuff done. You showed me how to get stuff done. And then as I was chairman and you were administrator, you helped me. You helped me figure out what was important and what to ignore. That was the hard one for me, was to figure out what to let go by. Thank you for that. But more important than that, more important than the county board stuff, was the life lessons. And that's what you don't forget. Thank you.
Further comments?
I should not have been the one to go last. I've got to keep it short just because. So a thing we started with the highway department back when Jerry Soma left, I worked with, if we remember, Tom Hornsby from the sign department, and that was creating a sign to honor the service of people that are retiring. So this is the one that we've come up with for Rhonda.
Nice.
Sivaraja Way, 33 years. Something that she can keep with her, look at, and remember the good, because it's challenging. The things that we do and the jobs that our staff do are not always easy. But it's the good work that we keep striving for and thriving to do better as we go. Rhonda has been first she was a colleague and a mentor, and she truly is a friend. Her example of faith and family and what it means to truly serve the public, second to none. So I give you this.
Hold on. Do I have to tilt it?
There we go.
We certainly have big changes at the county, and with that comes opportunity for new people coming on board and that's always a good thing too. So I want to thank you for your service, and if there is nothing else to come before the board here this morning, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.